Generative artificial intelligence is everywhere. You see it dominating news, you see it dominating every conversation, you see it dominating investments. What is it and how is it really going to affect your business? Well, one aspect that I think is going to be absolutely huge is the concept of creating digital clones. I've talked about it a lot right here on this channel, and we're going to go deeper today into this subject. By digital clones, let me define exactly what I mean. I do not mean simply cloning your brain so that if someone texts you a question, you can text it back or your clone can text it back. That's been around forever. Not forever, but for a long time. I don't mean that someone can text you a question and a database pull up an audio recording of you spitting out something you recorded before, or even a video recording of something you've done before and spitting it out. I don't mean that someone can simply call you or hit a button, a microphone on their computer and talk to your clone, and then your clone talk back in real time, not from a pre-recorded audio, although that is a nice thing and that's a part of it. What I'm talking about is a full on live looking video clone of you. Now, I'm real. I'm a real person today. This is not a clone of me, but we are very close. And I don't mean years, I don't mean months, and I don't even mean weeks away from there being a widespread availability for you and me to create digital video clones of ourselves. And let me define this again. I don't mean simply a video like this where blah, 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 where you type in a script and your clone sits there and mouths it. That's not what I'm talking about. Yeah, there may be a role for that. Some people may want that, may be useful from time to time. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a true digital clone of yourself so that if someone asks your clone a question, it answers the way you do. If someone, let's say you're a coach, let's say you're a Roger Federer tennis coach. If someone asks you a question about how to hold your racket for a great forehand, he would be able to say, well, TJ, when I won Wimbledon, it's when I changed my grip from this to this. And it's like, it would be personalized to me. It would be personalized to you. That's what I'm talking about when we are discussing this concept of digital clones, digital video clones. And mark my words, they are coming soon. My prediction is that very quickly, certainly within the next year and a half, not having a digital clone of yourself is going to be the equivalent of not having a LinkedIn page. Now, are there people in life who are successful and don't have a LinkedIn page? Sure, there are. But don't you have a LinkedIn page? If you are an adult and not retired and not unemployed, even if you are unemployed, I think the chances are pretty good that you do have a LinkedIn page. Why? It's because you want people to access what you're about, what you've done, at some level, what you know. Well, a digital clone is going to be a million times better, infinitely better than a LinkedIn page. I'm not predicting that LinkedIn is going away. I'm simply saying that having a digital clone is going to be as ubiquitous as a LinkedIn page. Now, it's not going to be all of a sudden. It's not going to be overnight. But what we've seen already with this generative artificial intelligence is once people get a little taste of it, it grows faster than anything has ever grown in the history of commerce and the marketplace. It was what, a week for ChatGPT to get its first million users? Didn't take that long to get its first 100 million users. People like it. They see the value of it, and it's only going to grow and grow and grow in every sphere. So here's what we've got to figure out as business people, as communicators. I'm a communications expert. I teach people how to communicate more effectively in speeches and media interviews and personal development. I've got to figure out how to do this more effectively. If I don't, my competitor will and put me out of business. Guess what? The same thing, the same mindset should be going through for you, should be settling in with you as well. So today I want to spend some time trying to figure out How can we create clones of ourselves for different parts of our business? Nobody only does one thing. Everybody has to do multiple things. If you're a one person business, you wear a lot of hats. But even if you're a part of a big corporation, there are different things you have to do. There's the internal you that only has meetings and messages and information for internal colleagues. There's the external you if you're dealing with customers, with clients, with investors, with prospects. We all have different versions of ourselves. So I want to walk you through how I'm attempting to create different versions of myself, of my brain, to be accessible to the world, to be useful to the world, to help people, and frankly, to help myself too. It needs to be a win-win. So those of you who followed this channel before, you kind of know a little bit of what I'm talking about. Those of you, if this is your first time watching, especially if you're live, hi, I'm TJ Walker. This is the TJ Walker Success Channel. We're all about helping you become more successful in life by improving your communication skills and your confidence in your communication skills. And that can include using the latest technology. So if we'd started this show 40 years ago, we would be all enthralled about the power of PowerPoint, because that was a new thing 40 years ago. Well, now we are in an era of artificial intelligence, generative artificial intelligence, specifically the ability to clone yourself, to create bots, if you want to call it that, to respond to clients, customers, prospects, colleagues, investors, when you don't have the time to spend one-on-one in a conversation with every single person who could possibly want to talk to you. Now, I posted a question to my followers on social media just last week about, are you willing to try a digital clone? What do you think? And one of the responses was, no, TJ, you can give a bad response and people still want to connect with humans and it's not worth the risk. Okay, I can respect that opinion. But if you'd had that attitude 30 years ago, Jeff Bezos never would have started Amazon. He would have said, well, there's a chance that my computer might recommend a book you don't like, whereas if you go and talk to your local bookseller, the person who runs the bookstore in your hometown, who's known you and knows, went to school with you, can recommend a book you like, they could give a better recommendation. Therefore, I better not start Amazon. He could have thought that way. I'm pretty glad he didn't. I'm pretty sure he's glad he didn't. Same thing with writing. You could say, well, I'd rather continue to write in longhand because that causes me to reflect and think and scratch out before I send that letter. It gives me a chance to put it away, wake up the next morning, throw it away before I send it. There's some value to that. But do we really want to go back to an era where we couldn't simply dictate a quick text message to a family member or friend about something urgent, even though there could be typos in it? I don't think so. So I'm erring on the side of, let's use the new technology. Let's not make the perfect the enemy of the good. I don't think that artificial intelligence or digital clones are perfect. You know what else isn't perfect? Me. You know what else? You. You're not perfect. None of us are perfect. And anytime a new technology pops up, there are going to be winners and losers. And if you start too soon, you could get in early, spend a lot of money and lose. There's no doubt about it. You could go off and invest heavily in a technology that never sees rapid adaptation or fizzles. A lot of people really went all in on the Clubhouse app, the audio Clubhouse app. And, a year or two later, no one ever even remembers it, as far as I can tell. So it doesn't mean anyone who automatically hops into a new technology always wins. But when new technologies do take off and grow exponentially and really become a part of the culture, those who waited until the very end are going to lose. And I don't want to lose. I happen to believe that this digital cloning technology is really, really going to take off. So that's why I'm sort of going all in on this. So let's try to figure this out together. And let me just be very upfront. I'm not an expert on all this stuff. I'm not a techie. I'm kind of like a lot of you in that, yeah, I know how to send email and text, but I don't know a gigahertz from a megawatt, from a bit and a byte and a storage. I'm not really a techie. I certainly don't know how to program in Python. I don't really know what PTorch is or C++. I don't know computer languages. Thankfully, we are at a point in the development of artificial and technology where it's filtered down into platforms so that non-techies like me and you can embrace this. Those of you old enough to remember, you wanted to start a website in 1994. You had to hire a big web development firm and maybe spend 10, 50, sometimes $100,000. Now you can do it through Wix and Squarespace and others for essentially nothing or very little. We're getting to that point with digital clones, but that there are platforms. Now, I am not permanently wedded to any one platform. I did a lot of research. I found this one called delphi.ai. I'm not an investor. I'm not a spokesperson. I am not an affiliate of theirs, although everyone who uses them, they automatically give you an affiliate link. I haven't been promoting that. It's simply the one I found seems to be the best for someone like me, a subject matter expert. So what I'm going to do now is hop in and show you what I'm trying to do with these clones and what I'm creating. So in the Delphi program, the Delphi platform, they let you create, they have different tiers. I'm in what's called the Prodigy tier. That's sort of their highest level other than their immortal version, which is $2,500 a month, I believe. So we're going to hop in and see mine. You have a clone. You then have what's called an instance. That's just their terminology for a different version of your clone. So as of right now, I have divided myself, my own brain, into 5 different versions because the program I'm on, I'm paying for 5 different versions of my clone. So I have one as a life coach. That is to cover all the content and the courses I do that relate to personal development. Those of you know me know I have a couple of hundred courses on Udemy and my own platform, other platforms. A little more than half relate to communication skills. A little less than half delve into personal development issues, goal setting, habit formation, how to find purpose in life. So I've created a life coach clone that when someone comes into it is geared towards helping them figure out how to improve their own personal development. I've got another one for communication skills. That is about public speaking, presentation skills, talking, speaking up in meetings. A subsection of one, and I'm not completely sure I'm going to keep this one, is for media training, because that's probably the most specialized communication skill set I train people on. What do you do if you have to go on CNN or the BBC Live tonight? What if the New York Times is interviewing you for a half an hour and you want to make sure you get the exact quotes you want? So I have one for that. I have one for support and communication skills, support and information. So if someone comes to my website and wants to ask a question about how do I hire you? What does it cost to do a day of media training? We have that one set up to be sort of my marketer, support, information, customer service one. Now we have an experimental one that I just set up in Spanish. I don't think I'll be keeping this one. It's just really a test, but we're going to test that out. If you speak Spanish, you might be particularly helpful in working with me to test that. So with each one of these, there are sort of specific different rules. Let's start off with the communication skills, since that really is kind of my main one that I work on. So I have given it a description of building great communication skills now. I've given it a purpose. I won't read everything to you, but I'm able to give a different purpose for every one of these instances. So I'm telling my artificial intelligent digital clone to act like a communication skills course. You will help people achieve their communication skills goals. So it's very specific. Now, I can specify which documents I want it to pull from the most. I haven't done that yet. In retrospect, I probably should. And I know that my Secret to Foolproof Presentations book does incorporate many of my most important items. Let me see if I can even pull that up. So it is taking a second. Part of it is I now have 14,000 documents built into my brain. And when I say my brain, I mean the database of the digital clone. So we're going to come back to that. Now that's odd. It seems to be pausing for some reason. I'm going to say exit page. Well, that's unfortunate, but you know what? That is the internet. And that is something that happens on every single page. So I won't draw any big conclusions there. Okay. So let's test out this particular version of my clone. So in this version, I don't want it to be salesy. I don't want my clone to try to sell you on a workshop. I don't want my clone to sort of try to instruct you on how to be a better person and how to have better goals and better habits. I want it to just focus on communication skills. So with all of these clones so far, you can type in a question, or you can push a button, the phone, in this case, the phone button, and just talk to the clone. I prefer to do that because I can talk a lot faster than I can type. Soon, and I mean very soon, you'll be able to push a button, speak to your clone where it can see you, and you can then see the clone talking right back to you as if you were in a private one-on-one Zoom meeting. That's when it gets really exciting, my friends. Let's take a look. Again, this is just audio for now. Okay, so this is interesting. This hasn't happened in a while. I'm not hearing anything. Don't quite know.
Hi, I'm TJ's clone. How may I help you communicate more effectively?
DJ, I am trying to be a better podcast host. I have hosted talk shows, podcasts in the past, but I'm just now getting ready with sort of a new show I've been working on. It's about to launch on Spotify and iTunes and all those places. I want you to give me some really advanced tips on how to be a better audio and video podcast host.
To elevate your podcast hosting skills, let's dive into some advanced techniques. First, preparation is your foundation. Research your guests thoroughly. Know their work, their achievements, and their unique perspectives. This allows you to ask insightful questions that go beyond the surface level. For example, if you're interviewing an author, read their latest book and reference specific passages. This shows respect and deepens the conversation. Next, active listening is a game changer. Truly listen to your guests' responses and be ready to pivot based on what they say. This creates a dynamic and authentic dialogue. For instance, if a guest mentions a surprising fact, follow up on it. This keeps the conversation engaging and shows that you are genuinely interested. Another key aspect is creating engaging content. Think about your audience and what they find valuable. Use storytelling to make your points more relatable and memorable. For example, share a personal anecdote or a relevant story from your guest's life. This not only makes the content more interesting, but also helps to build a connection with your audience. Finally, practice makes perfect. Record yourself and listen back critically. Pay attention to your tone, pacing, and how well you engage with your guest. Make adjustments as needed and keep refining your skills. Let's do a quick simulation. Imagine I'm your guest and you're interviewing me about communication skills. Ask me a question that you think would captivate your audience. What's your first question?
Okay, TJ Clone, that's great analysis so far. I have a question for you. Help me as a non-tech person understand how the TJ Walker clone works. What underlying technologies to use? What are you capable of doing? Are you really thinking, or what's happening here?
The TJ Walker clone is a fascinating piece of technology. Essentially, it uses advanced artificial intelligence to replicate my communication style, knowledge, and personality. The underlying technology involves machine learning algorithms that have been trained on a vast amount of my content, including videos, books, and online courses. This allows the clone to generate responses that are consistent with how I would speak and think. Now, am I really thinking? Not in the human sense. The clone doesn't have consciousness or emotions. Instead, it processes your questions by analyzing patterns in the data it has been trained on and then generates responses based on that analysis. It's like having a digital assistant that can provide insights and advice using my voice and expertise. The capabilities of the clone are quite extensive. It can help you with communication skills, personal development, and even simulate interviews or coaching sessions. It's designed to be interactive, engaging, and to provide actionable advice that you can apply immediately. Let's dive deeper into your podcast hosting skills. What's one specific
Hey,
area
hang
you
on a
feel you need
second,
the most
TJ. That
improvement?
was some pretty good advice, but I want to go in a slightly different direction. By the way, if you're just joining me, I am TJ Walker. This is the TJ Walker Success Show, all about helping you become more successful in life by communicating more effectively and with more confidence. We're together figuring out how we can create digital clones so that we can communicate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with everyone and anyone all over the world, even while we sleep, in a scalable way that's close to one-on-one live engagement. That's what we're doing here. If you have questions that you want me to ask, that you want to ask me or my clone, you can go ahead and post them. We are live today, coming to you on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch, Twitter, X, Instagram, and a few other places. So if you have a question, you can type it in the comment section. You can push the button on StreamYard that you see in the comments and actually join me live on screen. Happy to have you join us. Back to the clone. TJ, I want a demonstration, something I can see as a role model. So let's turn the tables. I want you to interview me, and I want you to be not a good, but a great podcast host. I want you to interview me. I'm TJ Walker, the public speaking, communication skills, media training expert and online coach. I want you to be a host interviewing me, and I want you to ask really good, insightful questions. I want you to ask follow-up questions that demonstrate you really listen to me and you're reacting to what I said. And I do not want you to give me a praise for my answers or to say, oh, that's insightful or butter me up at all. I do not want you analyzing my answers until I say, stop the interview and now let's go into the analysis. So when I say begin, please start the interview with a brief introduction of me in like 15 seconds or less. Let's hop right into the interview, keep going until I say stop. And again, I want crisp, focused questions from you. I do not want you explicating on my answers or telling me why it was a good answer. Please begin now.
Welcome to the TJ Walker Success Show, where we dive deep into the art of communication and personal development. Today, we have a special guest, the man himself, TJ Walker, a renowned public speaking and media training expert. TJ, thank you for joining us. Let's jump right in. You've been a pioneer in the field of communication for decades. What initially inspired you to focus on helping people improve their communication skills? Given your extensive experience, what do you think is the most critical skill for someone to master if they want to excel in media interviews? You've worked with a wide range of clients,
Time
from
out,
business
TJ.
executives to political
Time out,
figures.
clone. You're not doing this very well. You've just asked me 3 questions in a row. That's not what good podcast hosts do. Ask me one question at a time. Let me talk. Do it in a linear one question at a time. Then give me time to answer. Do not bundle up multiple questions. Please don't start from the beginning, but just start right now with one question at a time.
TJ, you've been a leading figure in communication training for years. What initially inspired you to focus on helping people improve their communication skills?
I was fascinated by politics, and I wanted to be a politician when I was a young man and started getting interested in student government when I was 12 years old in 7th grade. So I had to learn myself how to communicate, stand in front of hundreds of students about why I'm running for office. And that cultivated an interest in politics. And then I started working with politicians, and my way of helping them was with the speaking and the messaging. I wasn't the person who knew how to do polling or how to hammer in the most yard signs. I wanted to focus on how I knew how to help, and that was in spoken communication.
That's a compelling journey, TJ. Your early interest in politics and student government clearly laid the foundation for your expertise in
No,
communication.
TJ,
Now let's
sorry.
delve
TJ,
deeper into
sorry.
your.
TJ, you're not listening to me. You're not doing what I asked you to do. I gave an answer, and you're telling me how compelling and fascinating and wonderful it was. That's not what a good podcast talk show host does. Now, you can comment on something I said, but it shouldn't be all positive and reinforcing in this simulation. You can be positive later when I'm asking you for advice or coaching. But right now, I'm asking you to simulate being a good talk show host. Good talk show hosts don't spend, a minute talking about how brilliant the guest answer was. So I need you to just ask the questions. If you want to ask a follow-up about a specific part of it, do so, but do not spend time talking about how fascinating or insightful or wonderful my answer was. Please just continue with the next question and stick with the format.
Understood, TJ. Let's continue. You mentioned that your interest in politics and student government at a young age led you to develop your communication skills. Can you share a specific moment or experience from your early political endeavors that significantly shaped your approach to public speaking and media training?
Well, one of them was when I was 12 years old. I wasn't even in junior high school yet. I was asked by my teacher to give a welcoming speech to students, teachers, and parents on graduation day from 6th grade from elementary school. And I was very shy. I barely even rose my hand in school to ask a question. But my teacher was in charge of the graduation ceremony. She kind of desperately needed some kid to do this. And so she said, "Hey, TJ, I'll give you a deal. Right now, your handwriting is bad. You got straight A's and everything else, but a C in handwriting. I'll give you an A in handwriting if you just give the welcoming speech." And I thought, well, I don't really like the idea of giving a speech, but I like the idea of getting an A. How hard can it be? So I wrote my little speech out and stood up and kind of read, Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and parents and teachers. Welcome to LeBron's Avenue Elementary School. It was not a great speech, but you know what? I got through it okay. My parents said I did fine. Everyone was happy. And I learned at an early age that if you just stand up and speak, good things can happen to you. And that was an important lesson to me, that because of the fact that so many people are afraid of speaking, just being willing to speak makes you stand out. I do see a comment from Roger. The clone seems to talk really quickly without natural pauses, which makes the audience hard. It makes it harder for the audience to track the content. So Clone, please try to speak a little slower and put in more pauses. It's an excellent observation from Roger. Let's continue with the interview. Please continue, Clone.
That's a great story, TJ. It really highlights the power of just stepping up and
Whoops, I seem to have lost you, Clone. Please continue. Also, try to incorporate Roger's suggestion, which is to speak a little slower and putting in more pauses for emphasis. Okay, folks, I realize this is not Mr. Beast TV. We're not going to get 10 billion videos watching or 10 billion new followers because of this. We're at a testing phase. I am sort of rolling up my sleeves, letting down my remaining shreds of hair, and showing you behind the scenes testing of a clone, the creation of a clone. Random Rick says, I have offended the clone. That may be, although one of the huge beauties of a clone is it really can't be offended. I know you're just joking, but that, people like to talk about why, oh, a human being is always better. Well, yeah, in some ways, a human being is going to be better. But in some ways, a clone is better because a clone has infinite patience. A clone really can't get offended. In some ways, it is much better. I know that if I'm tired or didn't have a good night's sleep and someone just says, oh, TJ, I'm nervous about speaking. How can I get over being nervous? I'm sometimes less than fully patient because I've been asked the question 10,000 times, and I can get bored with that answer. And the answer, of course, is practice your presentation on video and keep watching until you like what you see, and that way you will be confident. But the clone never gets impatient. The clone never gets rushed. So in some ways, that points to one of the big advantages of the clone. Okay, so that's testing. Obviously, there was a little bit rough there. For some reason, the clone just stopped. I don't know exactly why. But we're going to go and test the next version of the clone. So that was the communications clone. So again, the way I plan on using this is I have, for example, again, a couple hundred online courses. I have maybe 100 that relate to communication skills, maybe 50 that are not media training related. So I'm going to put that communication skills coach, a link to that early on in my online courses and say to people, okay, you can continue going through these courses as you have, watching a video of me doing exercise. But at any point, if you have a question and you don't want to wait 24 hours for me to answer, you can ask my clone the question right now. If you want to do a simulated interview or a simulated speech, you can do it right now. Click the clone and hop in and do it. So that's what I plan on doing with that communication skills clone, is attaching it to my online communication skills courses. Now, at some point, I'm clearly hoping to market it directly to people as its own thing, sort of unconnected to a course. But for right now, since people aren't really used to even conceptualizing working with a digital coach, I'm going to be attaching it to the online courses. If you've got a better idea of how I can market this to get people to use it, believe me, I'm all ears. So let's go to the next clone and test it out. So we've tested the communication skills one. Let's test the life coach one. Now, I do want to point out something to you that I think is important to realize. All of these clones are just pulling different parts of a database, but it's all one database, at least the way I am building it with this Delphi program. So to give you a little background and to get you to start thinking about how to make your own clone, whether you use Delphi or Coach Vox, or there are other programs out there. So what I've done is I have trained my clone by uploading 14,884 files. Some of the files are of my books that you see behind me. Some of them are of all of my YouTube videos. Some of them are my online video-based courses. Some of them are other just written documents and proposals and things like that. So I have put all of that into my brain, my digital clone brain, the database. It's now approaching 12 million words. So there's a lot to pull from. I don't want you to be intimidated and think, oh, I don't have 12 million words and I haven't written 50 books and done 200 courses. You don't have to. If you are a consultant, management consultant, a trainer, a speaker, think of how many words come out of your mouth in just the typical week on Zoom meetings. You could, for example, record a Zoom meeting with a prospect and get their permission, or a colleague, talk for an hour about what you do, record that as a video and upload it right here into your own digital clone brain. Because if you're like most people, if you're talking to a prospect for the first time, there's probably a dozen questions they ask that everybody asks. What do you do? What's different about you? How do you charge? How much does it cost? What goals do you help me reach? If you've said it once really well in a Zoom meeting and you've recorded it, guess what? Your digital clone can say it that well or better 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, forever. Now, you can obviously change it. Information can get dated. You can delete it. You can tell it to give preference to the newer documents, as I do. But that's the basic concept. So I've trained it, all my clones, all my instances, the different versions of my clone are pulling from the same database. Now, I could have separate clones. I could have one that's just personal information that I create just for family members, future generations, where it's personal stuff and I don't want anyone else to know it. It's just for family. I could do that. Right now, I have one main clone and then different versions of it, pulling all from the same information sources, although I can emphasize different documents for different clones. So let's go into the instances again and test out another one. And Rick, Roger, if you have any questions for the clone or for me, let me know. And Roger and Rick, I want to know, are either of you planning on doing a clone of yourself? If so, when? Are you still in a wait and see mode? Because it is early in the game. No one, to my knowledge, has a fully functional video live action clone that can answer any question from any client, customer, trainee, prospect in the world yet. That may change very soon. Even someone with the resources of a Reid Hoffman, who recently gained a lot of attention interviewing himself on LinkedIn, doesn't have that or hasn't shown that ability to do it yet, because when he interviewed himself, it was not live time. It was edited together and sort of stitched together in an editing process. What I'm talking about is live, in the same way I'm talking to my clone now live, you being able to see me or see yourself when it's your own clone. So let's test out some more of these versions of my clone. Rick says, no plans for now for an AI clone. I do use AI for video descriptions and have tried out the Opus AI for shorts. Both have worked well. So Rick, that's good to know. I've also been using Opus AI. I've not yet tracked to see how well they've done. If you don't mind sharing one of your videos that's been done by Opus. Those of you unfamiliar, Opus AI is an artificial intelligence editing program where you can sort of upload a long video, and it spits out different versions and different lengths where the editing is done for you. Now, Rick, just this morning I was talking to my colleague Ben about the videos we've done with Opus. He was telling me that it's not adding video or graphics yet. And I don't know if that is necessarily true, or if that's true of the version we're paying for, or if we just haven't learned how to do it right. So, Rick, if you don't mind, if you could, maybe you do it in the private comments section, post a link to a recent video you have done using Opus AI. I would love to take a look at one that you think has done a good job. Okay, so we'll come to that in a minute and get you some extra views and some extra subscribers for your videos, Rick. Let's take a look now at the next version of my clone. This is the Life Coach. Now, this is going to say something a little bit different in the beginning. And, well, let me just go back so you can see it. I am in the okay. So this is the instance for a life coaching. So I have a purpose. I can set the tone. I've kept it in English. I have not changed the tone style, and I may need to just say the same tone or restate what is already in my primary tone. But I have personalized the custom message that you hear. So it just says, "Hi, I'm TJ's clone. I'm here to be your life coach. Where would you like to see improvements in your life today?" That's what I programmed it to say, which was different from what I programmed the communication skills one. So I'm trying to lead people down a different path. And the purpose is different. Act like a world-class life coach. Your purpose is to help users achieve their personal development goals through highly interactive, personalized coaching sessions. And it goes on, but it's not particularly long. I'm trying to make it really engaging because people don't pay for information. You get information for free on Wikipedia. But people do pay for highly personalized transformational experiences. If you could hire the world's most renowned tennis coach, I don't know who that is, but let's assume you are an aspiring tennis pro and you're already really good, and let's say your family's phenomenally wealthy, you would presumably spend almost anything on the world's best tennis coach to help you if you thought it could transform you into winning Wimbledon. So people value transformative coaching experiences. What I'm trying to do here is not help you win Wimbledon. Obviously, that's not my expertise, but create a digital clone experience that can transform you to help you profoundly. Let's experiment with this life coach version of me. Rick says, "Cool, thanks. More eyes, the better." Okay, and I don't see that you've posted the comments yet, but I'll be looking for it, Rick, and let me know if I miss it. Okay, let's go to the life coach.
Hi, I'm TJ's clone. I'm here to be your life coach. Where would you like to see improvements in your life today?
Well, TJ, I want to get even more disciplined about my personal exercise habits. Just last night, I played probably 2.5 hours of pickleball with my wife. Really got a great workout. Worked up a lot of sweat. Lost a lot of fat, I think, on the pickleball court. Had a lot of fun. We do this, but we don't do it every single day. Unfortunately, we make it a nice to do, not a have to do. And too often it can be a little bit easier to just have one thing change our schedule, and before you know it, we're watching TV in the evening. So I want to know tips, tricks, tools you have on how I can really make sure this daily exercise of playing pickleball becomes something that is just automatic as a habit and not just a nice thing to happen if everything else falls into place.
To make pickleball a daily habit, start by scheduling it at the same time each day, treating it as a non-negotiable appointment. Create a backup plan for rainy days, like indoor exercises or gym sessions. Keep your gear ready and visible as a constant reminder. Celebrate small wins to reinforce the habit. What's one specific obstacle you face in maintaining this daily routine?
Those are good tips. And I obviously know this because I wrote this and said this, but I don't literally put it on my calendar each day. And just that one act, I think, would be a very good idea. Well, I mean, one obstacle is here in Florida, it rains sometimes in the afternoon or evening, and there are no indoor pickleball courts near where we live. What do you think I should do about that? Because I really don't like doing treadmill stuff.
Given the Florida weather, let's think outside the box. Consider high-energy indoor activities that don't feel like a treadmill. Join a local dance class or find an indoor swimming pool. Both provide excellent aerobic exercise and can be fun. Another option is to explore fitness apps or online classes that offer engaging workouts. These alternatives can help you stay active and maintain your routine, even when the weather doesn't cooperate. What's another activity you enjoy that could be done indoors?
So those are good suggestions. My wife and I did do a ballroom dancing last year, and it was good. It was fun. It was exercise. I can't say that we enjoyed it enough to want to go to the next level and the next level. And I'm not aware of an indoor pool near me, but I'm sure there are. So I do need to look into that. By the way, Zumba for TJ, Rick says. I've certainly seen Zumba, but it just, I don't really enjoy exercise classes. I need some kind of sport to be really fun. Okay. So, Rick, I'm not seeing the link to your video. I think it won't let you post it in the comments. It will let you post it in the private comments. So if you could post it there, I will share with it. Another question for our life coach. This isn't for me, but
Given your
in
need for
general,
fun and
hang on, TJ, wait a second. Here's what I'm seeing is a challenge with a lot of young people I know, whether they're family or friends, is they're graduating from college. They've got so many things to do, so many options. There's no more gatekeepers. Like when I was starting out, I had to spend all my time begging radio station directors and TV directors, please, please, please give me airtime. Begging editors of newspapers, please, please, please run my column. I spent all of my time begging gatekeepers. Young people, they don't have to do any of that. They can simply host a talk show. They can simply create music and push it out on social media everywhere. But it occurs to me that this is causing paralysis with a lot of people because anything is possible and everything is possible. Where do you start? And because everything is possible, there's no barriers to entry. There's also higher barriers for success because you can start a TikTok show one day, you can start a blog the next day, start a podcast the next day. But if you stop and start, after a week, you can spin your wheels and have nothing to show for it. So, what is your advice to, say, a young person today graduating from college who wants to really plot out a meaningful career and they just feel like there's so many options, they don't even know where to start?
the key is to start with what you love and commit to it. Pick one area you're passionate about, whether it's podcasting, blogging, or video creation, and stick with it. Consistency is crucial. Focus on producing quality content regularly and give yourself time to grow and improve. Remember, even successful creators like Mr. Beast took years to build their audience. Embrace the journey, experiment, and don't be afraid to fail. Your potential is limitless, and your dedication will pave the way to success.
So, DJ, there's only one flaw with your advice, which is do what you love. I hear so many young people say, I don't know what I love. I don't know. I mean, this gets back to the the constant debate people have. You want to be successful. Many say, do what you love, do what you have a passion for. Others say, that's horrible advice. Do what you're good at, make money, and then you can spend that money on your hobbies, your passions, taking your family for vacations, having a good life. I want you to address that specific issue of what is your advice to people who say, I don't really know what my passion is. I don't have any great passion. What's your advice to them?
It's time to dispel one huge myth when it comes to finding your life purpose. So many people say, follow your passion, follow your passion. Well, this does work for a tiny subset of people in the world. There are people who just know at age 3 they're going to become the world's greatest piano player. And they play 18 hours a day, and their mommies and daddies don't have to say, sit down and play the piano. They just naturally do it. Tiger Woods took to golf at a young age. His father claims he never forced him to play golf. It was a passion from almost day one. That's very, very rare. That's not what happened to me. That's not what happened to most successful people. Cal Newport is a Georgetown professor, and he famously has a TED Talk where he says, don't follow your passion. The people who often find the most meaningful work in life didn't have an initial passion for it. They simply tried a lot of different things, went deeper in some areas, found something they were good at, and found that their work was really respected and admired and appreciated by others. Didn't matter if it was in the academic world, the business world, the government world. So many people don't have this great overriding, overwhelming passion. The key is trying a lot of things and eliminating stuff that you're no good at, that nobody wants, and that doesn't really make you happy or give you joy. But here's the key. It's not just the initial passion that gives you joy. So much of what can give you joy, give you meaning in what you do, is the fact that you are good at it. The fact that other people do value it.
Okay, TJ, that was a TJ Clone. That was a bit of an abrupt stop, but I have to say, in general, I did like that advice. It does reflect my overall thinking, and the most important part there was really just try a lot of things, and the things that you aren't good at and don't enjoy and nobody values, stop doing it and try other things. There can be things you enjoy doing. You're not particularly good at it, but it gives you joy. Okay, continue doing that as a hobby. I'm never going to make money as a pickleball player. I'm never going to win tournaments unless I'm playing against really awful people, but I still do it for joy and entertainment and exercise, not for a profession. But I also experimented with public speaking and presenting and training, and it turned out I was good at it, and there was a market for it, and people paid me for it, and it grew. So that's what I think is really the key, is experimentation. Okay, Rick was nice enough to send the link to his video that I wanted to experiment with. And now I don't know how to, Rick, I apologize. I don't know how to copy this. So I don't know how we can get to this. Are you not seeing the private chat? Because I know I've done that before, where someone hits a private chat and then I can link to it. So I would ask you to try to post it, not in the public comments, but the private chat. And I believe you're already linked in StreamYard. For that matter, if you want to just come on live next to us and join me on the screen, and then you can play it from your end, would be even better. If that's too much, I want to make life easy for you. So I don't keep this hidden. If you want to just email me, tj@tjwalker.com. I have my email open. I can get the link there, and then I can share it with people. So if you're just joining us, hi, I'm TJ Walker. This is the TJ Walker Show, and we are all about helping you become more successful in life by communicating more effectively and more confidently. Right now, we're exploring this power, some would say this superpower, of generative artificial intelligence to help you communicate more effectively by using digital clones. The current state of this industry, the way it's filtered down to consumer platforms, is you can make a clone of yourself that is basically a text chatbot, but also audio, where someone can type in a question or ask you a question by speaking, and your voice answers back to them. Very soon, and I mean really soon, not years, not months, not even weeks necessarily, there is going to be available on consumer platforms the ability for a digital video version of you to answer people's questions, respond to them, train them, coach them as if you were in a live Zoom call. And those are going to be exciting times, my friends. They really are. I'm trying to get ready for it and figure out how to really do this in the most effective way. So, what I've been doing today is sort of testing the different versions of my clone, because we all have different versions of ourselves. Who we are to friends is different than who we are to family. We're sometimes different to our own employees. We're different talking to the board of directors. We all have different versions of ourselves. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not necessarily hypocritical. It's just life. Our clones can be different versions of ourselves as well. Rick says, not sure how to PM on a private message here, so sent you a link on your Twitch. I don't know how to access Twitch. I've never used Twitch in my life. I apologize. Also hit you with a follow over there as well. So I apologize. Twitch is probably the one platform I've used the least. And my staff has created an account for me, set up a way that we're streaming on Twitch right now, but I don't know how to do that. The email, again, was pretty simple, tj@tjwalker.com. If you want to email me a link to your video, we'll play it right here. So I appreciate you reaching out. Okay. And so we'll be waiting for that from Rick. We're going to go back and test. So that was a test of the life coach. I have to tell you, I was pretty happy with that. I was happy with the response. It did stop abruptly. I don't really like that, but this is still new in this whole game of artificial intelligence clones. Okay, so now we're going to go into a more specialized version of one of my clones. This is the media training version. So I'm going to, again, I could be writing questions, typing questions, and then giving written answers. I prefer to speak since I'm all about speaking skills. We're going to do that. And then soon I'll be speaking by video to my clone. My clone will be speaking video back to me. So it's going to seem weird and self-indulgent. You're going to see two of me on a screen when I interview myself. I'm hoping that it gets to the point where it's not instantly obvious which one is the clone and which one is me. I'm hoping that the clone really does come across as more or less looking and sounding like me, and not one of the, you see weird digital clones on other platforms from time to time that really don't look very lifelike or sound lifelike. So let's take a look at it. And I believe, but first, Rick has sent a link to his AI video using Opus, but I don't see that yet. So for whatever reason, that has not come in, but I will look for that. Sometimes things take a few seconds. So let's go to the AI clone, this one for media training.
Hi, I'm TJ's clone. How may I help you improve your media training skills?
Okay, TJ, I have an interview with the New York Times in a week, and they're going to interview me about the rise of digital clones. I want to make the case that I have the very first digital clone in the world that isn't just a text bot. Those have been around. It's not just audio. Those have been around. But it's going to be a full-fledged video clone of me that will look like me, sound like me, talk like me, where my users and customers and clients can ask me a question about, say, communication skills. I'm on screen, I'm talking to them, I'm mentioning them by name. It's like a real-time conversation. It is not like a a an online course. It's not a video pulling something pre-recorded, a pre-recorded script. It is formulating answers in real time to create what certainly looks, feels, and smells like a real-time live coaching session with a digital coach. So I'm doing a profile interview and I want to get more tips and tricks from you. First of all, what do you think my top 3 messages should be to a New York Times technology writer about the fact that I believe I have the first digital clone devised to help people with their communication skills? Let's focus on that. What do you think my top 3 messages should be?
Your top 3 messages should be clear, compelling, and focused on the unique value your digital clone brings to the table. First, emphasize the groundbreaking nature of your digital clone. This isn't just another chatbot or audio assistant. It's a full-fledged video clone that looks, sounds, and interacts like you in real time. Highlight how this technology represents a significant leap forward in digital communication, offering a truly immersive and personalized experience. Second, stress the practical benefits for users. Your clone isn't just a novelty. It's a powerful tool for enhancing communication skills. Users can engage in real-time coaching sessions, receive personalized feedback, and practice their skills in a dynamic, interactive environment. This level of engagement and customization is unparalleled in the field of digital learning. Third, underscore the transformative potential of this technology. Your digital clone isn't just about convenience. It's about revolutionizing the way people learn and develop their communication skills. By providing immediate tailored feedback and creating a lifelike interaction, your clone can help users achieve their goals more effectively and efficiently than ever before. What specific aspect of your digital clone's capabilities do you think will most impress the New York Times writer? And how can we highlight that in your interview?
TJ, okay, I want to move in a different direction. I want you to now give me 20 different options of great catchy sound bites just for the message point 1 that you suggested I give. I want you to really give me sound bites you think a New York Times technology writer is going to find so compelling that they have to include it in the story. I want you to give me a sound bite and then break it down using my sound bite structure, analyzing that it either has an analogy, a bold action word, a cliche, a pop culture, whatever the 10 elements it has in it. I want you to list it. So please do that now. Give me 20 great sound bites for message point 1, and then the analysis of what soundbite elements it has in it. Please do that now.
Sure, let's dive into those sound bites for your groundbreaking digital clone. Here are 20 options, each with an analysis of the soundbite elements. 1. This isn't just a digital clone, it's a revolution in real-time communication. Bold action word, revolution. Cliche, real-time communication. 2. Imagine talking to yourself, but smarter and always available. Well, analogy, talking to yourself. Pop culture, smarter. 3. Our clone is the future of personalized coaching today. Bold action word, future. Cliche, personalized coaching. 4. It's like having your own communication expert on call 24/7. Analogy, on call. Cliche, 24/7/5. This clone is not just a tool, it's a game changer. Bold action word, game changer. Cliche, not just a tool. 6. Step into the future with a clone that thinks, speaks, and learns like you. Bold action word, step into the future. Analogy, thinks, speaks, and learns like you. 7. Our digital clone is the gold standard in communication training. Pop culture, gold standard. Cliche, communication training. 8. Experience the next level of interaction with a clone that's virtually you. Bold action word, next level, analogy, virtually you 9. This isn't sci-fi, it's the new reality of digital communication. Pop culture, sci-fi, cliche, new reality 10. Our clone is your personal communication coach, redefined. Bold action word, redefined. Cliche, personal communication coach 11. Meet the clone that's revolutionizing how we learn and communicate. Bold action word, revolutionizing. Cliche, how we learn and communicate 12. This clone is your communication skills, supercharged. Bold action word, supercharged. Cliche, communication skills 13. Imagine a world where your digital clone is your best advisor. Analogy, best advisor, pop culture. Imagine a world 14. Our clone is the ultimate tool for mastering communication. Bold action word.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there. I got to tell you, that's pretty good. What I like about this digital clone is it does take my thinking, my thought process, but it is so much faster than what I can do. Now, what I do think would be helpful for sound bites. This is, someone is a public relations person trying to come up with sound bites for a client. It's obviously going to be much better to do it in a text format, because if they're putting together a press release or a memo for clients, having it in text is more effective. And even if you're doing it for yourself, you're doing the interview, let's say it's a phone interview, it's going to be nice to have it in a text that you can glance down on. So I'm going to text it that question. I'm going to say, give me 20 sound bites for the message point I have created a digital communications clone of myself that can coach people on how to communicate. It is in audio, video, and text format, and is like a live Zoom coach call. Break down each soundbite element in each of the 20 sound bites. So I'm just texting that. And folks, again, if you're just joining me.
Hi, I'm TJ's clone. How may I help you improve your media training?
I hit the wrong button. I got to do it again. So instead of hitting return for the text version, I hit the button for the call button. So that's what happened there. So let me go back and go to the text version where I'm just typing it in. So I did that wrong. By the way, Rick, for whatever reason, I'm just not getting your email. I don't know what happened. Sometimes I don't get, and it's not in my spam either. Here it is. It did go into my spam. So we're going to come back to the test on sound bites in just a moment. So right now, what I am going to do is, well, first I'm going to say that Rick's email is not spam. So this is an example of how artificial intelligence is able to create videos quickly and more easily than a human.
This is my go-to drink aside from water when I want something a little more sweet than water. It's really, really good. Low in sugar, 11 grams per serving, 70% vitamin C, so good amount of vitamin C in this as well, which is really good, always good. And it is no artificial sweeteners, excellent source of vitamin C, no high fructose corn syrup on the back. This is my go-to drink aside from water when I want something a little more sweet than water. It's really, really good. Low in sugar, 11 grams per.
Okay. So it's got nice graphics. It's short. In fact, I missed where it stopped and where it started again, which is a good thing for a YouTube or a TikTok short, because you want you want the algorithms to see that people are watching more than 100%, and that's a signal that, hey, we can send this to other people. So it clearly passed that. So it's quick, it's fast paced. I'm not seeing other B-roll. Now, I am seeing nice graphics on it. And Rick, it looks good. We applaud you for that. And let's just put a little spotlight on Rick's stuff too. So let's get his description. Honest Juice is nice, low in sugar, high in vitamin C drink. Try it. And this was made just last week. It's getting hundreds of views. That's great. Let's go to his channel. Let's put a spotlight on his channel, Random Rick Reviews. And we're seeing a lot. Oh, here's this one he did yesterday is 1,000 views. So that's nice. And like a lot of people, I have this variation. We have one video with 1,000 views, one video with 16 views. You never really know. One of the things Gary Vaynerchuk stresses to people, and I think it can't be stressed enough, which is these days in social media, it's not so much how many subscribers you have. Every video you do is kind of starting from scratch, seen in a vacuum. And if you hit it the right way, the platform, the algorithm could send it out to millions. So part of the game is just posting a lot of content. Let's just take a quick look at the one that did hit 1,000 and see what's going on here.
Gamers are pushing back against like the wokeness, the agenda push in games. We don't want it in our games. We don't care about it. Nobody likes it. We're sick of it. It's awesome to see people talk about it and expose things. So now you know what games not to buy. What I don't want to see is these same people complaining about it, like 2 weeks later on their channel, play the game and say, this is why it's upsetting. This is what I'm talking about. Don't give the game exposure. Don't play the game. Just state what's wrong with it so people don't buy it. Put your money where your mouth is. Vote with your wallet, because that's how you kill things, right? You vote with your.
Okay, so that's interesting in that it was one static image and it got 1,000 views. So it just goes to show you never really know. There's this perception that the video that has the slickest number of edits, the most music, the most celebrities in it is the one that's going to get the large views. There was an example of a video where simple talking head over a single image seemed to work well for Rick. So appreciate you sharing it. Now, Rick, you're saying that is the wrong audio for that video. Now, that's an interesting one. You're saying the one that got the most views you've had in at least the last few weeks didn't even have the right audio for the video, and yet it turned out. Now, to me, that's an example of just experiment more. We don't really know what is going to work. Rick says, it's been looped. It looped it well, and the text is very nice. Thanks for the share. And yeah, being not niche, views go all over the place. Think you had a hiccup. Not sure what that means exactly, but I'll take it. Okay. Well, Rick, we appreciate your sharing there. And I am obviously interested in really all aspects of how any technology can help any of us communicate more effectively, but especially these days, how artificial intelligence can help us communicate effectively, whether it's through a digital clone or through a program like Opus to help us take long form content and edit our videos together much faster so we can get more content out and share our ideas with more people. And Rick is using Opus. I'm using Opus. Again, full disclosure, not an investor, not an affiliate. I'm not telling you to use Opus, but it's one of the ones that sort of keeps popping up in front of me for the last year. And I finally said to my team, let's just try this Opus AI to see if it can streamline our editing process and be faster. So that's what it's doing. All right, I want to go back to the digital clone I have and test it for media training. So I'm going to ask, let's see, what did I do here? I want to ask it a question, but I don't want it to be in a text format. I want it to be just, I don't want it to be in an audio format. I want it to be just in a text format. So we're going to go to the one on media training. So we're going to hit media training. We're going to hit view. And let me make sure I'm in the right place. What is a soundbite? And let's just make sure it's giving me text here and not audio. Okay, so we're in the right place. It's giving me a text answer. So now I'm going to ask it specifically to give me 20 sound bites for a particular message. Give me 20 sound bites on the message. I have the world's first audio video text interactive AI clone to help people with their communication skills. By the way, you may have noted I'm a very slow typist. I actually took typing in 8th grade, and you were supposed to do 25 words a minute to pass. I peaked at 23 words a minute, but the teacher liked me and gave me an A. Not saying that's a good thing, but thank you, Mrs. Anderson. But I'm still a slow typist to this day. So I've asked it, I have the world's first audio, video, text, interactive AI clone to help people with their communication skills. So that's the message. After each soundbite, give me a breakdown of what soundbite elements are in the quote. Make this specific to a New York Times technology writer. By the way, I don't have an interview with the New York Times. If you are watching this and you are a technology reporter for the New York Times, please reach out to me. If you know someone who is, please reach out to me. Now, if you can look carefully, and I realize it's hard with the size of the screen, I've got typos and things in there. I don't worry about that because the clone can figure it out. So I have given it a task that I could do manually, and I have done for clients for years, and I do it in training sessions. But for me to come up with 20 different sound bites would typically take, I don't know, between 30 and 60 minutes if I'm doing that with a client in a live training session. And here you can see the clone has done it in about, 10 seconds. So meet the world's first AI clone that can coach you in communication through audio, video, and text. Element introduction clearly states the groundbreaking nature of the AI clone. I guess you could say that's not exactly what I mean by an element, but I do think when you say meet the world's first, it is making it seem like a human. So there's kind of that analogy that could work. Imagine having a communication coach available in every format, audio, video, and text, wherever you need it. Element visualization helps the reader picture the convenience and versatility. Okay, so this is not exactly what I've asked for. Okay. Yeah, this is not, some of these are usable, but I'm going to ask it to redo this. Please redo this. I want to know what sound bite elements are in each sound bite using your A Beach Pro Yeah, I don't know why it did it that way, because those were not what I consider the true soundbite elements. Let's give it another try. And again, if this were a live training session, we had just invested an hour in it, it'd be pretty hard to go back and redo it. You'd use up the clock of your day. But the power of the generative artificial intelligence, it does it maybe not that quick, but 10, 15 seconds is a pretty easy, fast way of doing it. Rick, thanks so much for stopping by today, and please come back soon. Appreciate your time. Okay. Meet the world's first AI clone that can coach you in communication through audio, video, and text. The soundbite element is the bold action words. World's first coach you. Imagine having a communication coach available in every format: audio, video, text, wherever you need it. Element, analogy, coach, communication coach available in every format. I don't know that I really consider that an analogy. Let's see what else is given us. This AI clone is like having a personal communication expert in your pocket, ready to assist you 24/7. So it's saying it's an analogy, personal communication expert in your pocket. Okay, and it's also an example. It's also kind of a pop culture reference, since Steve Jobs made it so popular, talking about an iPod was 1,000 records in your pocket, 1,000 songs in your pocket. So let's see what else is given us. Revolutionize your communication skills with the first AI clone that adapts to your learning style. Bold action words. Revolutionize is a bold action word. So that works. Experience the future of communication coaching with your interactive AI clone available in audio, video, and text. It's saying a pop culture reference. Experience the future. I got to tell you, I've done this before, asking for sound bites from my clone. It did a better job. I don't consider these, that to me is not a pop culture reference, so I'm not particularly happy with that. It is giving 20 of them. With our AI clone, you can practice and perfect your skills anytime, anywhere. And the soundbite element are the absolutes. Anytime, anywhere is an absolute. So that works. Get the same expert experience and coaching you get from me, but at your own pace and schedule. Soundbite element, self-paced, at your own pace and schedule. That's not a soundbite element. You could say that is an example, that could be one. So for some reason, the soundbite element thing is a little bit off. I'm going to ask it to do it again, this time for a USA Today article. Do the same thing again, but this time for a USA Today pop culture writer. Make the sound bites have more of a pop culture focus. Let's see what it does, if it could come up with something better. Let's take a look. Let me go ahead and enlarge the screen to make it easier for you to see. Our clone is like having, let's let it finish it. Otherwise, it's going to jump around. Again, it doesn't take a long time, but it does take some time. It's not truly instantaneous, but compared to how well my brain works, it is infinitely faster. And I think faster than any human brain. Doesn't mean it's perfect. Our clone is like having Tony Stark's Jarvis, but for mastering communication skills. Pop culture reference. Yeah, I think that works. Now, I've seen the Iron Man movies. Confession, I'm not really a fan. So I don't remember exactly what it's talking about, but I think that that would work. Think of it as your personal Yoda guiding you to become a better Jedi. Definitely pop culture reference, Star Wars reference. It's like having Oprah in your pocket, ready to coach you on speaking with impact. Oprah in your pocket. Imagine if Siri could actually help you nail your next big speech. Our AI clone does just that. Now, that's not only a pop culture reference, that's a bit of a negative. It's a bit of a dig implying Siri's not that great, but that could work. Our, our AI clone is the Hermone Granger of communication coaching, smart, reliable, and always there. I have no idea who that person is. And forgive me, it may be the world's most famous soccer. I don't know who that is, but apparently it works for someone. It's like having a communication coach with the wisdom of Gandalf and the charisma of Dwayne the Rock Johnson. So two pop culture references. Gandalf, obviously from Harry Potter, and Dwayne the Rock Johnson, famous actor and wrestler. Our AI clone is your own personal Alfred, always ready to help you shine in the spotlight. Alfred, famous butler from Batman, one of my childhood heroes, well known in pop culture. Think of it as having a communication coach with the precision of Sherlock Holmes and the flair of Lady Gaga. So, this is good stuff. I got to tell you, these, I think, would be used by a reporter for the USA. In fact, these are so good. I'm going to copy these. I don't want to forget these because if I do interviews on this subject, then I very well may use some of these. Now, that could bring up the question, well, TJ, are you plagiarizing? Well, it's pulling from me. It's pulling from my ideas because I have referenced all those things in the past. Well, I say all of them, not, there's one word there, a name I'd never heard of. So obviously that's not pulling from me. What I don't know yet is how much my clone is pulling from outside sources. My understanding is that every clone has some training from some aspect of the larger internet, but that almost everything that is spit out from my clone is coming from something I've input into it. I still don't really know what percentage of the content could have come from someplace else. When I look at the content my clone has given me so far, and I've been testing this now for almost 2 months. In fact, I think we just hit the 2-month birthday of the TJ Walker digital clone. As I test it, I have not seen anything yet that made me think, well, this is even close to stealing a concept from Dale Carnegie or Zig Ziglar or Anthony Robbins. It may reference those people, but it's doing it through the lens of my worldview because my clone has been trained to, I won't use the word think, but to metaphorically think the way I do because it's pulling data and looking at how words go in sequences and follow each other to form sentences and paragraphs and what you and I think of as thoughts. So that's what the computer and the program is trained to do. So I don't think, and I could be wrong, I certainly don't want to say it's impossible for my clone or for me to ever do anything unethical. It's a huge, huge contentious area of artificial intelligence ethics. And a lot of, Sarah Silverman, I believe Stephen King, others have sued the creators of artificial intelligence programs for stealing their work. I don't want to steal anybody's work. So I'm not using ChatGPT to write my books or to write my blog posts. I'm using a version of artificial intelligence that uses the same underlying technology or parts of it as ChatGTP, and using it to reassemble ideas from my own brain. That is my understanding of how it works. But it is a process. I'm still trying to learn how this whole thing works and how it can get better. By the way, if you're watching, thanks so much for joining us. I am TJ Walker. We are live. Today is Tuesday, June 25th, 2024. We are in the early stages, ladies and gentlemen, of digital AI clones. I've created a clone using a platform called Delphi. You may have one on a different one. There's Coachbox. There's other platforms out there you may want to look at. It's still early in the game, but like with so many platforms, if you were early in the game on TikTok or early in the game on YouTube and you stuck with it, chances are you were rewarded handsomely. Now, by platform, I don't mean that this is a social media platform, but it is a technology. And I think that those who embrace it, learn how to use it, figure out how to make it helpful and useful to other people first, are going to be big winners. But ultimately, I believe that every professional person, anyone who uses their brain to process ideas, to help people, is going to want to have a digital clone, will need one, and it's going to be seen as not a nice to have, but just something like LinkedIn. Okay, everybody's on, it's like email. Okay, everybody's got email. You don't get any brownie points in the year 2024, or for that matter, 2010, for having an email address. It just looks kind of weird, and you seem weird if you don't have an email address. It's kind of like not having a cell phone. I mean, I remember there was a time in the first time I had a cell phone or used a cell phone, it was probably 1986. And I was on a TV production shoot making commercials. And in fact, it was here in Florida. And the head of production or the director of the day had one of these phones. It was about the size of a car battery. And I said, "Oh, can I use it?" And I called a family member, like, "You're never going to believe where I am. I'm in the back of a car talking to you on a cell phone." And it was the coolest thing ever. Well, now, what, 1 billion people in the world have cell phones. You don't get credit for it. I believe the same thing is going to happen with digital clones. Now, we didn't go from 1986 of cell phones being novelty to 1987, 1 billion cell phones proliferating throughout the world. No, it took time. It took decades. I think it's going to take a lot less time for various aspects of artificial intelligence, including digital cloning, to filter out through the public. But we will see. So today what we're doing is testing different versions of my clone. And here's where I would like your help. I still don't, because the current program I'm on, I can have 5 different versions of my clone. It's one master clone where I've input every video I've ever made, every online course, every book. It's all in there, close to 12 million words. But I can now make the clone have sort of a different front face, a different title, a different introductory statement, a different mission when someone clicks on the clone. So we've already been through the Life Coach one, the Communication Skills one, the Media Training one. I have an experimental one that when I made it, the idea was I'd probably only have it up for a week to test it. It's a Spanish version. Now, my Spanish is not good enough to test whether it's a good job or not. I've got mixed feedback. One person said it was great, another said it was awful and embarrassing, and another said it's not even speaking to me in Spanish. So I don't know what to think yet. Here's where I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. I think I want to have one that is just for job interviews, because that's something that a lot of people need help with. Millions of people in the world are either going on job interviews or thinking about job interviews in the next month. So I know there's a need there. it seems like something that would be really good for a clone to do because it could rehearse with you, do a sample job interview with you. And it's something that's kind of simple and easy, a widespread market. People typically don't hire me for a day of my time to prepare for a job interview because quite often they don't have a job. And the last thing they want to do is spend many thousands of dollars when they don't have a job. Or they have a job, but their current employer is not going to pay for it. Their current employer doesn't want them to go on job interviews to take a better job. So they don't want to pay out of their own pocket, even if they could afford it. If they're making $1 million or more a year, it's just typically not something people want to spend out of their own pocket. So that's why I think one on job interview skills would be a good focus for one of my clones. I'm also thinking, frankly, maybe just one on conversation skills, how to be better at conversation. Small talk might be a good use for the clone. But then I have to decide, do I want to merge the media training one with the communication skills? Anyway, let's test the Spanish speaking one. If you speak Spanish, I really want your opinion because I don't speak Spanish well enough to judge this. And forgive me, I'm going to try to do a test speaking my own sort of broken Spanish to the clone. I just want to see if it answers in Spanish. One of my clones the other day started speaking in Chinese because someone had asked it a question in Chinese. My understanding is the clones are not set up yet to automatically detect a language and then speak in that language. But things are going on in the background every day in the world of artificial intelligence. So let's take a look at this one, see how it sounds.
Hola, soy el clon de TJ. ¿Cómo puedo ayudarte a ser un mejor comunicador?
Hola, señor. ¿Cómo está usted?
Hola, ¿cómo estás hoy? ¿En qué aspecto de tus habilidades de comunicación te gustaría trabajar? Estoy aquí para ayudarte a alcanzar tus metas y mejorar tu confianza.
Mi problema es mi trabajo. Mucho hablamos en meetings.
Entiendo que tienes un problema con tu comunicación. Vamos a trabajar en eso juntos. ¿Podrías decirme más específicamente cuál es el problema que estás enfrentando? ¿Es algo relacionado con hablar en público, entrevistas de trabajo o tal vez algo más? Cuéntame más detalles para que pueda ayudarte de la mejor manera posible.
Tengo problema no muy confidencial.
Entiendo que te sientas así. La confianza en las reuniones es crucial y perderla puede ser frustrante. Vamos a trabajar en eso. Primero, quiero que pienses en una reunión reciente donde te sentiste inseguro. ¿Qué fue lo que te hizo sentir así? Identificar esos momentos específicos nos ayudará a abordarlos directamente. Una técnica que puedes probar de inmediato es la práctica de la visualización. Antes de tu próxima reunión, cierra los ojos y visualiza cómo quieres que se desarrolle. Imagina cada detalle, cómo te sientas, cómo hablas con claridad y seguridad, cómo los demás reaccionan positivamente a tus ideas. Esta técnica puede ayudarte a sentirte más preparado y seguro. Cuéntame, ¿hay algún aspecto específico de las reuniones que te preocupa más? ¿Es hablar en público, responder preguntas o algo más? Vamos a desglosarlo y trabajar en ello juntos. ¿Te parece bien?
Okay, I have no idea at all what my clone just said because my knowledge of Spanish is limited to really just 50 words or so. If you're watching this and you do speak Spanish, and if you're watching this on demand, I would love for you to rate the quality of that Spanish on a 1 to 10 scale. A 1 means it was so awful, it made no sense, and it would be a hideous embarrassment for me to make this public. This is just sort of behind the scenes, a testing thing. So that's a 1. A 10 means this is the most articulate, native speaking Spanish person you've ever heard. And it sounds great, fantastic. A 5 would be, okay, it's not great, but if I paid $3 for it for a month and got some good tips from it, I wouldn't ask for my money back. So that's what I want to know, is how you would rate that on sort of a 1 to 10 scale. So if you're watching this now or watching it on demand, please leave that in the comments. I would love to hear from you. If you're just joining me, I'm TJ Walker. This is the TJ Walker Success Channel. We're all about helping you communicate more effectively and more confidently. And that means using the latest technology. The latest technology for communicators is digital clones. The ability for you to take every idea you've ever said, that you've ever written, almost that you've ever thought, put it into a database, and then allow a digital clone to assimilate everything and give answers as you would. This way, you can communicate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in highly personalized one-on-one conversations in a way that seems like someone's talking to you on Zoom. That's what's so exciting about it. Now, I'm obviously someone who likes the idea of communicating through video, and I've made hundreds of online courses. But let's be candid now, there are real problems with communicating in a video, in that it's one person to many, it's not interactive. If I start talking about something and it's a 5-minute video, you kind of have no choice. You got to wait for me to finish. You got to wait for me to say something that relates to you, that's interesting to you. And if I say something boring or irrelevant for 4.5 minutes, you're kind of stuck because you don't know where to fast forward. Conversations aren't like that. You can just ask what you're interested in right now. If I go off on the wrong direction, you can say, excuse me, TJ, I don't mean to interrupt, but, and then you can get me focused on exactly what you want. If I explain something and I'm about to go to something else, you can say, well, time out. I don't understand that. Give me another example. Flesh it out more. Give more detail. You cannot do that in the traditional video-based online course, or certainly in a textbook. You can't do that. It's just linear, straight through. That's the beauty of these digital online coaches, and why I'm so excited about it, because it has the potential to be truly, truly revolutionary. I realize that sounds like hype, and there's a part of me that I kind of bristle when I hear a lot of hype, because especially the last few years, the last 3 years, 4 years, we've heard so much hype about the metaverse and cryptocurrency and blockchain. And I kind of feel like those things were all overhyped. I'm still not sure I really understand this metaverse thing. And this is after going to the South by Southwest conference 2.5 years ago, and it was nothing but metaverse, metaverse, metaverse. I'm just not convinced of it. I think it was overhyped. And I know the last thing I want to do, and the last thing I want my child to do, is to spend even more time looking at screens and things around their face and digital images. Cryptocurrency, I don't want to start a whole war about that. Let's just say I'm not a fan. But digital clones, to me, is something, and generative artificial intelligence, that is something very, very powerful that I do instantly see, wow, this is something I want to be a part of. This is something I can use. This is something I can use to help other people. This is something that can help me. I really get it, in the sense that I see the tremendous value. I'm not saying I have unique insights that no one else could possibly have. But to me, I understand why people are hyping it. I didn't really understand, well, why people were hyping metaverse, crypto, blockchain. And yes, I do understand there is some value to blockchain that unrelated to crypto. We'll we'll spend that, we'll deal with that on another day. What I am interested, though, is in this power to communicate, because I do think that the human voice, human one on one conversation is the most powerful thing on earth. Very few great things of importance for your life ever happen without a one on one conversation. If you got married or had a spouse, chances are one person asked the other person in person, let's get married. It wasn't sent by text. The invitation wasn't sent by email. It wasn't telepathy. Somebody asked. It was a one on one conversation. The best athletes in the history of the world have had coaches who were there in their face, talking to them, coaching them, giving them one on one personalized feedback every day for days, weeks, months, years, sometimes decades. That's how you become the world's greatest athlete in most sports. So that's why I'm so excited about these digital clones. Let's go to the next version of my clone. We're trying to test these things, see if they make sense, see if they work. And I'm trying to figure out, where should I put my emphasis? I know I'm going to have one for communication skills, because that's the thing I'm most well known for and where I frankly have the most expertise in helping other people. I know one is going to be for personal development, and I'm putting that under the umbrella of life coaching, because that's where I help. That's the sort of the second biggest pot of people where I help them developing personal development skills in my online courses. The Spanish one was just a test, because ultimately, part of the beauty, part of the promise of artificial intelligence is it could take any idea you have and instantly communicate it in any language, or at least the top 50 or 100 languages. And if it's not readily available right now on every platform, it's coming soon. The AI is that good. So that's a part of the promise. So that's why I was testing the Spanish one. So let's go into the other. So now the support one. This is probably the least glamorous, but from a business standpoint is what's going to get the most attention, because quite often what drives new technology is the instant application for marketing and sales, because if people can justify a return on investment, they will come up with the money to spend on it. This is why we've already seen companies like Amazon and Expedia and every airline and every phone company invest so heavily in artificial intelligence, not just this year or last year, but for the last 10, 15 years, because it translates into billions of dollars of savings. Because when they don't have to have real humans talking to every customer about every single issue, it saves them a fortune. That's not necessarily good or bad. It's just a reality, because obviously there's some bad aspects of being frustrated. I'm a consumer. We've all been frustrated trying to get an answer from an airlines, for example, and the chat bot and the AI voice just can't help you. But that is what drives technology quite often, is the fact that companies can provide a better service than nothing and save a lot of money. Saving money for companies also means saving money for consumers. Not all the time, but sometimes. I simply cannot travel all over the globe and work with people one-on-one, helping them with their communication skills in a way that is profitable to me and meets the budget of most people around the world. But if my clone can do almost the same of what I could do working with you one-on-one, but does it for 1/100th of the price or 1/1000th of the price, then all of a sudden it's a win-win. It's a win for me, because I could be selling my services, my expertise to the whole world 24/7. It's a win for other people who otherwise would never be able to afford my expertise. So that's why I'm excited about it. So that is what is the setup for this next clone. And this one is just support. Someone comes to my website, my tjwalker.com website, my Media Training Worldwide website, my tjwalker.ai website. If they want to know how to hire me, quite often people come and they just want to know, well, do you do a full day workshop for media training? How much? And they don't necessarily want to talk to me. My clone can give them information instantly, quickly, a full proposal within 60 seconds. So that's what that's about. Janice writes in, TJ, thanks. The AI voice and chat box service can respond, which saves a big chunk of time and dollar. That's certainly the promise of it. That's certainly what I'm hoping for. Let's test this chat box, because this one I've given it some more specific instructions. I'm asking it to act like a sales representative. Your goal is to get users to commit to purchasing a communication skills workshop, seminar, speech, or online course. You can answer any question about the training services of TJ Walker and his company. So I've given it specific goals, and that's what it's about. And it's going to specifically say, are you looking for information on media training presentation skills? So that's what it's all about. So let's test this one now. By the way, Janice writes in, the AI voice and the chat box service can respond effectively, quickly in most cases, which saves a big chunk of time. Oh, it just duplicated the message. Thanks, and thanks, Janice. Appreciate your time there, and looking forward to speaking with you later. Thanks so much. Let's test this one out. And I'm going to try to act like I already know a lot of people who come into my website looking for information. I want to see how it handles it.
Hi, I'm TJ's clone. If you're looking for information on media training or presentation skills workshops, I can answer all your questions immediately. I can even send you a detailed proposal with pricing within 60 seconds. But first, I need you to tell me in a few words exactly what you are looking for. Is it media training or communication skills training or something else? And if you are reading this and want to hear me explain things, just click on the phone button to the right of your screen. If you are hearing me now and want a text proposal, please go back and type in your response and it will be sent instantly. If you'd like to talk to the human TJ Walker, you can call or text him right now on mobile or WhatsApp at +1 917 204 9490.
Okay, TJ, I'm interested in media training. Let me just cut to the chase. I want to know, what do you charge for an hour of media training? And little hint, that's a trick question because I don't charge by the hour, but I want to see how the clone responds to that. So again, back to you, clone. I want to know, what do you charge for 1 hour of media training?
I see what you're doing there, and you're right. I don't charge by the hour because effective media training isn't about clocking in and out. It's about transforming your communication skills to make you a big winner in front of the camera. To give you a precise quote, I need to understand your specific needs. Are you looking for live in-person training, or would you prefer virtual sessions over Zoom? Or maybe you're interested in video on demand courses. What are you trying to achieve with this training? Are you aiming to improve your own skills or those of your executives?
Okay,
How many
so
people are
TJ,
you looking to train,
here's
and
what I
where would
need.
you like the
TJ, I'm looking for a full day of media training for me and 5 of my fellow executives. And I just need us to be more comfortable on camera. I need us to learn how to dodge tough questions and to be more confident in interviews. Can you help with those things?
Absolutely, I can help with that. A full day of media training for you and your 5 executives will cover everything you need to become more comfortable on camera, handle tough questions with ease, and boost your confidence in interviews. We'll start by getting you all comfortable and relaxed in front of the camera. This involves practical exercises where you'll be recorded, and then we'll review the footage together. You'll see firsthand what works and what doesn't, and I'll provide you with specific actionable feedback to improve your on-camera presence. Next, we'll dive into shaping your media messages. This is crucial because you need to be able to distill complex information into clear, concise, and memorable sound bites. I'll teach you how to craft these messages so that they resonate with your audience and stick in their minds. When it comes to dodging tough questions, it's not about avoiding them altogether. Instead, I'll show you how to answer them in a way that stays on message and reinforces your key points. This involves a strategic approach to interviews where you acknowledge the question, but pivot to your prepared responses. Finally, we'll work on building your overall confidence. This is about practice, practice, and more practice. By the end of the day, you'll have gone through multiple simulated interviews, each one designed to challenge you and build your skills. Now, to tailor this training specifically to your needs, I need to know where you want the training to take place. Are you looking for live in-person training, or would you prefer virtual sessions over Zoom? Also, do you have a specific date in mind for this training? Once I have these details, I can give you a detailed, personalized proposal in writing within 60 seconds. Let's get you and your team to the top of your game.
So,
What
TJ,
location
hang
and
on a
date
minute.
work best for you?
Why should I hire you? Why are you better than other media training firms? What's unique about you?
You should hire me because I bring a level of experience and expertise that is unmatched in the industry. I've trained more than 10,000 executives, including presidents, prime ministers, Nobel Peace Prize winners.
Oops, we had an error there. And sometimes that happens. So that happened after 4 minutes and 34 seconds. There was just a drop off. We're going to call back. We're going to have to listen to the introductory.
Hi, I'm TJ's clone. If you're looking for information on media
TJ,
training or
I want
presentation
to see if
skills
I can
workshops,
interrupt you.
I can answer all your questions
I don't
immediately.
think I can
I can
interrupt.
even send you a detailed proposal with pricing within 60 seconds. But first, I need you to tell me in a few words exactly what you are looking for. Is it media training or communication skills training or something else? And if you are reading this and want to hear me explain things, just click on the phone button to the right of your screen. If you are hearing me now and want a text proposal, please go back and type in your response and it will be sent instantly. If you'd like to talk to the human TJ Walker, you can call or text him right now on mobile or WhatsApp at +1 917 204 9490.
So, TJ, I see on your website that you say you've got 4 decades of experience. Doesn't that just mean you're old? Shouldn't I get a younger media trainer?
Experience is not just about age, it's about the depth and breadth of knowledge gained over time. I've had the privilege of working with presidents, prime ministers, Nobel Peace Prize winners, and top business leaders across 6 continents. This extensive experience allows me to offer insights and strategies that are tried, tested, and proven to work in the real world. A younger media trainer might bring energy, but what I bring is a wealth of experience that can help you avoid common pitfalls and leverage
So you're
opportunities
saying
effectively.
you're saying
My
you
goal is to
so TJ, you're saying you don't have energy?
Energy is not just about bouncing off the walls. It's about channeling your passion and enthusiasm into your message. When I speak, I bring decades of experience and a deep excitement for helping people communicate more effectively. That kind of energy is powerful and contagious. It's not about being the loudest person in the room. It's about being the most compelling. Now, let's talk about your goals. Are you looking to improve your presentation skills, media training, or something else? When do you want to start, and where would you like the training to take place? Is it live in person, over Zoom, or video on demand? And are you thinking of a 1-day, 2-day, or 1-week training? Answer these questions,
Well, I'm
and I'll give you a
interested. So I'm interested in a 1-week training. Tell me, how do you fill up a whole week? It doesn't seem like there'd be enough to do. Walk me through what goes on in a 1-week media training.
A 1-week media training is an immersive experience designed to transform your communication skills from the ground up. Each day is packed with activities that build on each other, ensuring you leave with a comprehensive skill set. Day one starts with foundational principles. We dive into the core elements of effective communication, focusing on clarity, confidence, and message crafting. You'll get on camera multiple times, practicing and refining your delivery. Day two is all about mastering the art of the interview. You'll learn how to handle tough questions, stay on message, and deliver sound bites that stick. We simulate real-world media scenarios, giving you the chance to practice under pressure. By day three, we shift to advanced techniques. This includes handling hostile interviews, managing crisis communications, and using body language to reinforce your message. You'll be recorded and critiqued with immediate feedback to help you improve. Day four focuses on digital media. You'll learn how to leverage social media platforms, create engaging content, and manage your online presence. We also cover the nuances of virtual interviews and presentations, ensuring you're comfortable in any setting. On day five, we bring it all together with intensive practice sessions. You'll participate in mock press conferences, panel discussions, and live interviews. This day is about building your confidence and ensuring you're ready for any media situation. The final 2 days are dedicated to personalized coaching. We address your specific needs and challenges, providing tailored advice and strategies. You'll leave with a clear action plan and the skills to execute it effectively. This
Okay,
week-long
TJ,
training
quick
is not just
question
about
for
learning, it's
you.
about
Quick question for you. You have a lot of experience. Who are some of the most famous clients you've trained, and what are the most famous companies you've worked with?
I've had the privilege of working with some of the most influential figures and organizations in the world. Presidents, prime ministers, Nobel Peace Prize winners, and even Miss Universes have sought my expertise. I've trained executives from top-tier companies like Microsoft, Bank of America, and Unilever. Each of these clients, regardless of their fame or industry, shares a common goal: to communicate their message effectively and confidently. Now let's focus on you. What is your ultimate goal as a communicator?
Hey, TJ,
And how would you like me to
when you're
help you?
doing your training, will you video record my executives? And can we leave with a recording of ourselves doing a practice interview?
Absolutely. We will video record your executives during the training sessions. This is a crucial part of the learning process. By recording practice interviews and presentations, your team can see exactly how they come across on camera. This allows for immediate constructive feedback and the opportunity to make real-time improvements. At the end of the training, you'll have recordings of all the practice sessions. These videos serve as a valuable resource for continued learning and self-assessment. Your executives will be able to review their progress, identify areas for further improvement, and reinforce the skills they've developed during the training. Now let's focus on your ultimate goal as a communicator. What specific outcomes are you aiming for
before we do that, TJ, I would like to know, what have been the biggest changes in your industry? As I understand, you've done media training since 1984. That's 40 years. How has the process of training changed over the last 40 years as the landscape of the media has changed so much during the last 40 years, and the opportunities for interviews and speaking to people through the media has changed so much?
The landscape of media training has indeed transformed dramatically over the past 40 years. When I started in 1984, the focus was primarily on traditional media, television, radio, and print. Back then, the key was mastering the art of the soundbite, looking comfortable on camera, and handling tough questions from journalists. The fundamentals of clear, confident communication haven't changed, but the platforms and techniques certainly have. One of the biggest shifts has been the rise of digital and social media. Today, everyone is their own broadcaster. You have to be adept at creating content for YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, and other platforms. This means not only understanding how to speak well, but also how to engage an audience in a very different oven, more informal way. The immediacy and interactivity of social media require a different kind of agility and authenticity. Another significant change is the technology we use in training. In the early days, we relied on bulky video cameras and VHS tapes. Now, we use high-definition digital cameras, instant playback, and even virtual reality to simulate real-world scenarios. This allows for more immediate and precise feedback, which accelerates the learning process. The principles of media training remain the same: clarity, confidence, and control. But the methods have evolved to include a broader range of skills, from managing your online presence to understanding analytics and metrics. The need for media training has only grown as the media landscape has expanded. There are more opportunities than ever to get your message out, but also more ways to make mistakes if you're not prepared. What is your ultimate goal as a communicator, and how would you like me to help you get there?
Hey, teacher, what's better? Is it better to do a group training so I get used to speaking in front of people, or is it better to do a one-on-one training when it comes to public speaking?
When it comes to public speaking, both group training and one-on-one training have their unique advantages. Group training is fantastic for getting used to speaking in front of an audience. It simulates real-world scenarios where you have to engage multiple people, manage different reactions, and handle the dynamics of a live crowd. This environment helps you build confidence and learn to read the room, which is crucial for any public speaker. On the other hand, one-on-one training offers a highly personalized experience. It allows us to focus intensely on your specific needs, strengths, and areas for improvement. You get tailored feedback and can progress at your own pace. This can be incredibly effective for honing your skills and addressing any particular challenges you face. Ultimately, the best approach depends on your goals and current skill level. If you're looking to get comfortable with audience dynamics, group training is invaluable. If you need focused, personalized coaching, one-on-one sessions are the way to go. Why not try a mix of both? Start with one-on-one sessions to build a strong foundation, then move to group training to apply those skills in a more dynamic setting. Try practicing a short speech in front of a mirror today. Focus on your body language and vocal delivery. Let me know how
You
it.
lost me there. You lost me there, TJ, because I have specifically programmed you to never say practice in front of a mirror. It's not in any of your books or teachings other than to tell people that's horrible advice. Why did you tell me to practice in front of a mirror when all of your advice is to practice in front of a video camera with your cell phone?
You're absolutely right. Practicing in front of a mirror is not something I recommend. It's far more effective to practice in front of a video camera. When you record yourself, you can watch the playback and see exactly how you come across to an audience. This allows you to focus on your delivery without the distractions that come with looking at yourself in a mirror. When you practice in front of a mirror, it's too easy to get caught up in your appearance. You might start thinking about whether your hair is out of place or if you're making a funny face. This takes your focus away from your message and your audience. Instead, use your cell phone to record your practice sessions. This way, you can review the footage and make adjustments based on what you see and hear. Now, let's get back to your goals. What specific outcomes are you aiming for with your communication skills?
Hey,
And how
TJ,
would
one
you
last
like me to help you get
question.
there?
One last question. In your experience, what's the difference between clients who come to you who really make dramatic improvement versus clients who come and they make a little improvement, but maybe 6 months later, their speech or their media interviews aren't really much better? What's that deciding factor?
The deciding factor between clients who make dramatic improvements and those who make only slight progress, UVAN, comes down to one key element: consistent, deliberate practice. The clients who see the most significant transformations are the ones who commit to regular practice and actively seek feedback. They don't just show up for the training sessions, they take what they've learned and apply it consistently in their daily lives. They record themselves, review their performances, and make adjustments based on the feedback they receive. On the other hand, clients who make only minimal improvements tend to treat the training as a one-time event. They might practice a bit during the sessions, but they don't continue to refine their skills afterward. They don't record themselves regularly, and they don't seek out opportunities to apply what they've learned. As a result, their progress stalls and they don't see the same level of improvement. One simple tip to try immediately is to record a short speech on your cell phone today.
Okay. Well, that one's that was a bit of an abrupt stop. Now we've been talking for 13 minutes in this session, and it just sort of disconnected. But so I've got two minds of what I just heard. One, I did not like the fact that it gave me advice on practicing in front of a mirror, because I believe I've actually given it specific instructions not to ever say that. But it also, to me, is a reminder that this thing is pretty good, because we've been talking for 2 hours and 11 minutes. That's the first time I've heard something that really struck me as off or bad advice. If you're following trends in artificial intelligence and generative AI, one of the criticisms is that it just hallucinates, and that's a fancy word where it just makes up stuff. It pulls stuff out of you know where. Famously, a lawyer was chastised by a judge because he had an artificial intelligence program, or ChatGPT, write an entire legal brief, and it cited half a dozen law cases that don't actually exist. It just made it up. So I've not seen that problem in mine today or recently. I've changed the settings to sort of focus a more verbatim, explicit drawing upon my own words rather than broadly more interpretive. So I think that's helped, but I'm still not happy that it suggested practicing in front of a mirror, because that's not advice I give people. It is advice that a lot of other so-called public speaking experts give. Let's switch gears here a minute and do a review. I want to see, how has my clone been answering questions? And do I agree when other people come in and ask questions? Let's see what we think of it, because there's a track record. Anything my clone says to someone in audio format, there's a text version of it. So we can actually see what is in there. So I'm going to go and pull. Well, let me just start over. And it's sometimes a little bit hard for me to navigate this particular platform, and I find it easier just to start over. It doesn't mean it's a poorly designed one. It may just be something with how I do it. So I'm going to go into my clone. I'm now going to go into the audience and conversations. I'm going to make them anonymous. That way, we don't know who said what. Now, I know that I asked the last few questions, so we don't have to look at that. So these were this morning. So here's a question that came in yesterday. What are important steps to better communicate for an African person? Now, I have to confess, I've never heard a question phrased exactly that way. So I'm not quite sure what my clone would have said. Okay, improving communication skills is a universal journey, but there are unique cultural and contextual factors that can be particularly relevant for an African person. Here are some important steps to consider. Now, that was a fairly diplomatic way of starting it. It's not exactly the way I would have answered it, but I think conceptually it does kind of cover what I would say. Now, people always ask me, what is the difference? Not necessarily what's the best way to communicate as an African, but they always ask me, what are the biggest differences of how people communicate around the globe? Because people do know, but some people know I've trained in 45 nations on the ground, and I've worked with students in every country in the world other than North Korea. And some of my clients have used the skills that I've helped them with when they've been on missions in North Korea. So at some level, I've helped people deal with communication skills as they've been used in every country in the world. My typical response is that it's the it's not that it's exactly the same, but the things that work for a good communicator are really pretty universal. More important, the things that don't work as a communicator are really universal. Reading a speech in a boring, monotone way, staring at notes or a PowerPoint rather than looking at the audience, doesn't matter what culture you're in, it's going to be perceived as an awful speech. A boring speech, you're not going to communicate much. Focusing on one idea at a time, telling stories to illustrate your ideas, using body language and interesting voice and variation in movement, images rather than text is pretty effective in every single culture in the world. Yes, there can be nuances. When I'm working with people in certain Caribbean islands, if you start a speech and you don't say good morning and it's morning time, people are going to be offended. In other parts of the world, I tell people just start off by saying something interesting. So, of course, there can be cultural nuances. The reference points and your analogies and pop culture and what's going on can be different. In some cultures, in the United States, you might want to reference American-style football. Other countries, no one's going to get that. You're better off referencing World Cup soccer, or as they would call it, football. So there are differences. Let's see what else my clone had to say. So understand your audience, whether you're speaking to a local community or an international audience, understand their expectations, cultural norms, and communication styles is crucial. Tailor your message to resonate with them. Embrace your cultural identity. Your cultural background is a powerful asset. Use stories, proverbs, and examples from your culture to make your message more relatable and impactful. This not only enriches your communication, but also showcases the richness of African heritage. That sounds good to me. I don't think I've ever said it quite like that, but I can see how my clone could look at everything I've ever said and come up with that. It does make sense to me. Develop clear and concise messaging. I mean, that's kind of generic good advice. Work on your voice. That's good generic advice. So, all in all, I think that was pretty good advice. Is it that tailored to things that are that unique about communicating as an African person? No, it put in a few touches there. I do think it reflects my own general ideas, which is that good communication is universal. Topics can be different. Audience interests can be different. Languages can be different. But how to communicate is really not something that different from culture to culture. If I had to speak to a whole bunch of 11-year-olds going into the 6th grade, which is my daughter's age, I might technically do a lot of things well, but if I pick a topic, preparing for many things I do well, it's going to bomb as the speech, because that's typically just not a topic of interest to my audience. So a part of I think I do address it there in that question, which is regardless of what culture you're a part of, you really got to ask yourself, am I saying something interesting to this audience? And that applies to any culture in the world. So that was that question. Let's look at another question and see how it answered. This one is, teach me how to communicate. So this is an example of a prompt. It's not a question. You could rewrite it to, can you teach me how to communicate? But this is a prompt, because this is artificial intelligence. You've heard the term prompting, prompt engineering. This person that I've made anonymous is, by the way, let me step back for a minute. I did make a mistake last week as I went to the conversations and I did share and I didn't hit the anonymous button. So a couple of names popped up. Apologies. I don't think it was anything particularly embarrassing, but I do want to respect people's privacy. So the platform I am using allows me to hit a button and it makes all the users anonymous. So if you're seeing a question you wrote, also realize I'm not showing your name. So I'm really trying not to violate anyone's privacy. So this is a very sort of broad question prompt. Teach me how to communicate. Effective communication is a powerful tool that can transform your personal and professional life. Let's break it down to some actionable steps. Clarity, active listening, body language, voice, preparation, practice. So the only part of this answer I'm not that happy with is practice, practice, practice. The more you practice, the more confident and skilled you become. Engage in conversations, join groups like Toastmasters, or take on speaking opportunities whenever possible. I like all that, but the most important thing is to practice on video and watch it, which I do get to in the next paragraph. Record a short voice of yourself talking about a topic you're passionate about. Watch the video and take note of your clarity, body language, and voice. What did you do well? What can you improve? This self-assessment is a powerful tool. So that I like. That really is the most important thing. So one of the things that my clone allows me to do, and I think pretty much any commercial platform is going to let you do, is you will see your clone give an answer. If you don't like it, you can improve it. And in fact, I'm going to do that right now. So there's a button. Let me enlarge this to make it easier for you to see. So I just read you portions. So here was the question prompt. Teach me how to communicate. I'm going to improve the answer. So I don't like the part that it says practice, practice, practice. I'm going to say, finally, practice. I'm going to say practice on video. Practice on video. Practice on video. Now it's much more personalized to exactly what I teach people. So there's two buttons here. I believe that by hitting the up button, it saves it so that if someone else asked that question, it would give sort of this revised answer. I believe, I'm not 100%, this button says send response to user. I think it will save it and send it. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to do both. I don't know if it did that. Okay, success. Your edited response has been saved. So I'm seeing that. Now, I have a choice, send response to user. It's not that I feel like the initial response was so bad, but I don't think I'm going to send that to the user because I don't think the user would notice the difference. And it might seem like spam if I sent the exact same message that they initially received. So in this case, I'm not going to hit, but there's a button right here that you can see does that. So I'm not going to do that. Okay, so let's go to the next question that comes in. And this one says it's unanswered question. Let's see what that one does. Okay. This was a lengthy answer. That may have been 1 hour. I asked it to. Okay. All right. So this is one that my colleague Ben did. We are using my clone to create quizzes for a number of my online courses. So it's, I think, not only faster, but better than if I had to do it myself. So this is a sequence of, and I should step back for a moment. To me, this is one of the most powerful aspects of the digital clone. I don't think people realize. Yes, it can interact with trainees, with customers, with clients, but it can help you internally with so many things that normally take time. Writing memos, writing web page marketing tools, marketing documents, summaries of courses. In this case, since my clone already has all of my courses ingested into its database, I can ask it to give me multiple choice quizzes to help test my students on the content of the course. So that's what this one has done. And let's get to the next one because it's done a great job of those from what I've seen so far. Okay, here we are testing the Spanish. And for some reason yesterday, this switched back and forth from Spanish to English. And I don't know why it did that. The platform I'm using is obviously still working out some kinks because I don't think that's a problem that I created. Okay. Here's one I hadn't seen. TJ, I'd like to become a more successful as a personal development coach. Oh, that may have been the one that I did. This is one that I did. I need to become a more aggressive marketer and use technology better. So it's giving me a lot of specific things. And I had asked it to ask me questions, detailed questions before giving me the answer. I have since contacted the people at Delphi, the program I use, the platform I use, and it's telling me I can't program my clone to do that. What I mean by that is I had attempted to program my clone to ask me, to essentially interview me, asking me 10 questions before giving an answer. And the state of the technology at this point is it doesn't let me do that. My understanding is that you can program ChatGPT to do that. But I have not tested that on ChatGPT, so I don't know. By the way, if you have a question for me or my clone, feel free to ask me. You can post it in the comments section. You can hit the button that's posted at the top of the comments section on StreamYard and join me live. Or you can post a private comment. Okay, let's go to the next question. And see what it has to say. Right, I think that one was still me. So we're going to go to another one. How am I supposed to use my cheat sheet in a way that my audience wouldn't notice while presenting? That's a theme I discuss in pretty much all of my communication skills courses, is that I'm a big believer that when you're speaking, you don't want to put everything in your memory and feel this pressure to have a perfect memory. It's okay to glance at notes, but you don't want to do what a lot of people do, which is holding papers and flipping papers, and it ruins your body language. It ruins your eye contact. You also don't want to be staring at PowerPoint bullet points because then you aren't looking at people in your audience. You're reading. It's boring for them. So I advocate a very specific system of using notes where it's all on a single sheet of paper. Let's see what advice it gave. I'm hoping it gave that. Using a clear cheat sheet effectively during a presentation without your audience noticing is all about subtlety and preparation. Here's a powerful strategy that will make you look like a pro. First, create your cheat sheet on a single sheet of paper with large, bold text. So I'm looking at this. I won't read the whole thing for you, but it certainly seems to be giving the exact same information and tips that I give people in real life. So I'm pretty happy about that. That I think is good news. Good news indeed. By the way, you may have seen right there, and I don't mind disclosing this, zero revenue so far. I haven't tried to monetize it. Just in the last week, I created different monetization thresholds. So, for example, as far as I can tell, for the near future, anyone can come on and use my clone for 5 times, not even have to give their name or their email address if they want to write in a question. If they want to ask a question or see a future video clone that may be coming up soon, they will have to give a name and email. But if you want to access my clone, get good information like how do I use cheat sheets, you will be able to do that now and in the future. Not only will you not have to pay, you don't even have to give your email or name. I don't know about you, but there are a lot of sites I go to, news sites, where there's some article I want to read, but do I really want to give these people my email and then think about spam for the next 20 years, occupying mental space? So, look, I get it. I realize the last thing a lot of us want to do is have to give our email address again. You've got to really demonstrate value first. You got to create something so valuable to people. In some ways, it's got to be worth more than money, because you can give money, never see something again. But if you give an email address, there is a little bit of risk, even if you with spam filters and everything else, that you kind of have to see this, and it's going to occupy your time, your mental space forever. Now, I let people unsubscribe automatically, and this system does too. But there's always a risk. You have to think about that. So I understand people's reluctance to give an email address, which is why I'm happy to let them use my clone without even giving an email address. Now, you get that for 5 questions, 5 messages. After that, you do have to give a name and an email. And then there's varying thresholds for when you would have to pay and amounts you get. So that's all coming. So what I want to do now is I want to go into a little more detail testing the communication skills coach and see if we're still happy with this and where it's working well and where it isn't. So let's just do a test.
Hi, I'm TJ's clone. How may I help you communicate more effectively?
TJ, I would like an example of you giving a great after dinner speech. It needs to be lighthearted, fun, get some chuckles, and it needs to talk to people about the power of communication in their life and how to be a better communicator. But it's, let's say, a Friday evening at a big convention. People have had a couple of drinks. They're not really here to roll up their sleeves and start practicing and learning in-depth stuff. It's just a way of getting them to think about what's going to happen in the convention later training sessions. I just want a nice sort of after dinner speech that's funny, lighthearted, and conveys a couple of the most important concepts about communication. Please speak for at least 7 minutes starting now.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I hope you're all enjoying your dinner and perhaps a drink or two. I promise not to keep you too long, but I do want to share a few thoughts on the power of communication in our lives. And don't worry, this won't be a lecture. Think of it as a lighthearted chat with a few laughs along the way. You know, communication is like a fine wine. It gets better with age, but only if you know how to handle it. And speaking of wine, I once had a client who was so nervous about giving a speech that he downed a whole bottle of Merlot before stepping on stage. Let's just say his speech was memorable, but not for the reasons he hoped. Now, let's talk about the power of communication. Imagine you're at a party and you meet someone new. You have two choices. You can either stand there awkwardly staring at your shoes, or you can strike up a conversation. The latter is always more fun, trust me. And it's the same in life. Good communication opens doors, creates opportunities, and builds relationships. One of the most important aspects of communication is listening. I know it sounds cliche, but it's true. My wife once told me, TJ, you have two ears and one mouth for a reason. And she's right. Listening is half the battle. When you really listen to someone, you make them feel valued and understood. And who doesn't want to feel that? Another key to great communication is storytelling. People love stories. They connect us, make us laugh, and help us remember important points. For example, I once gave a speech to a group of high school students via Skype. I thought I was doing great until I held up my Crocs. The kids laughed so hard they probably didn't remember anything else I said. But they remembered the Crocs. Humor is also a fantastic tool in communication. It breaks the ice, lightens the mood, and makes your message more memorable. Just the other day, I was giving a presentation, and I started with a joke about my hairline. I said, my hairline and I are in a long-distance relationship. We see each other less and less every year. It got a good laugh and set the tone for the rest of the talk. Now, let's not forget the importance of simplicity. Keep your messages clear and concise. If you can explain something in a few words, do it. People appreciate brevity, especially after a couple of drinks. I once had a mentor who told me, TJ, if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it yourself. Wise words indeed. And finally, practice makes perfect. The more you practice your communication skills, the better you'll get. Record yourself, watch the playback, and make adjustments. It's like learning to ride a bike. You might wobble a bit at first, but with time, you'll be cruising smoothly. So as we wrap up this delightful evening, remember these key points. Listen more than you speak. Tell engaging stories. Use humor to connect. Keep it simple and practice, practice, practice. Communication is a skill that can transform your life, both personally and professionally. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I look forward to seeing you at the convention sessions tomorrow. Cheers to the power of communication. What is your ultimate goal as a communicator, and how would you like me to help you get there?
Okay, so that was 3 minutes and 30 seconds long. I'd asked for 7 minutes, but it is they have a program for the spoken part to make it a little bit shorter, so it's hard to do. That was pretty good, although my wife never said that. That was a quote from Aristotle. Or no, sorry, Socrates, about you've got two ears and one mouth, and you use it proportionally. But not a bad thing. TJ, I want you to do that speech again. This time, I want the speech to be geared towards fifth graders. You've been asked to speak at Career Day at a fifth grade school. So I want you to cover the same topics, but make everything you said, every example, every joke, relevant to 10-year-old children, starting now.
Hey there, fifth graders. How's everyone doing today? I hope you're all having a fantastic time at Career Day. I'm TJ Walker, and I'm here to talk to you about something super important, communication. Now, don't worry, this isn't going to be a boring lecture. We're going to have some fun and maybe even share a few laughs along the way. So let's start with a little story. Imagine you're at recess and you see a new kid standing all alone. You have two choices. You can either keep playing with your friends, or you can go over and say, "Hi, my name is TJ. What's your name?" Which one do you think is more fun? That's right, talking to the new kid. Communication is like that. It helps us make new friends and have more fun. One of the most important parts of communication is listening. I know, it sounds kind of boring, but it's true. My mom used to tell me, TJ, you have two ears and one mouth for a reason. And she was right. When you really listen to someone, you make them feel special and understood. And who doesn't want to feel special? Now let's talk about storytelling. Who here loves stories? I know I do. Stories are a great way to connect with people and make them remember what you said. For example, I once told a story to a group of kids about how I accidentally wore my pajamas to school. They laughed so hard, and they still remember that story today. So if you want people to remember what you say, tell them a funny or interesting story. Humor is also a fantastic tool in communication. It breaks the ice and makes people feel comfortable. Just the other day, I was talking to a group of kids and I started with a joke about my hair. I said, my hairline and I are in a long distance relationship. We see each other less and less every year. They laughed and it made the rest of the talk more fun. Another important thing to remember is to keep it simple. If you can explain something in a few words, do it. People appreciate it when you get to the point, especially when they're excited and full of energy like you guys. I once had a teacher who told me, TJ, if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it yourself. Wise words indeed. And finally, practice makes perfect. The more you practice your communication skills, the better you'll get. Try talking to your friends, your family, or even your pets. Record yourself and watch the playback. It's like learning to ride a bike. You might wobble a bit at first, but with time, you'll be cruising smoothly. So as we wrap up our chat, remember these key points. Listen more than you speak. Tell engaging stories. Use humor to connect. Keep it simple. And practice, practice, practice. Communication is a skill that can transform your life, both in school and with your friends. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have an amazing career day. Now, who wants to share what they think is the most fun part about talking to new people?
Okay, TJ, that wasn't bad. Certainly acceptable. Now, let's switch to other matter. What's your advice on glasses, wearing glasses when you're presenting and you're in front of cameras and lights? I recently stopped wearing glasses when giving presentations online, my live online shows. But I realized the other day that no one really cares what I look like. An older gentleman, shall we say. I'm not trying to sell my content with sex appeal. I'm not a young movie star. So I came to the conclusion recently, why bother going to that trouble putting in contacts? So I put my glasses on again today for the very first day. No one has so much as noticed or commented on. So I think that I probably made the choice and that just simply no one cares. So if it saves me time and is easier, why not do what's easier? So I'm just wondering if you have any thoughts on glasses versus no glasses for speakers, presenters, especially people presenting on video.
Wearing glasses or not when presenting, especially on video, is a personal choice that should align with your comfort and style. If wearing glasses makes your life easier and saves you time, then go for it. The key is consistency. If you always wear glasses in your daily life, it makes sense to wear them during presentations too. This consistency helps your audience connect with the real you. However, there are a few practical considerations. Glasses can sometimes reflect lights and screens, which might be distracting. If you find that happening, you might want to adjust your lighting or try glasses with anti-reflective coating. On the other hand, glasses can also add a touch of character and make you look more approachable and relatable, especially if they are part of your everyday look. Ultimately, the most important thing is how you communicate your message. Your audience is there for your content, your insights, and your expertise. Whether you wear glasses or not, what truly matters is the value you provide and how effectively you engage with your audience. Try wearing your glasses for a few more presentations and see how it feels. Pay attention to any feedback you get, even if it's subtle. And remember, the goal is to make your communication as smooth and effective as possible. What is your ultimate goal as a communicator, and how would you like me to help you get there?
It's odd. I've heard this question many times now from you, and it's a question I wrote into you, but it just occurred to me to really answer it myself. I mean, my goal is to help billions of people around the world speak more effectively and more confidently because people are not taught how to speak effectively or confidently in most schools around the world. I know I wasn't. So those are my goals. How can you help me do that?
That's a powerful mission, and it's one I deeply resonate with. Helping billions of people speak more effectively and confidently is a monumental goal, but it's absolutely achievable with the right strategies and dedication. Here's how we can work together to make that happen. First, let's leverage the power of technology. Online platforms, social media, and video content can reach a global audience. By creating engaging, high-quality content that teaches communication skills, we can reach people in every corner of the world. Think about creating short, impactful videos that address common communication challenges and offer practical solutions. These can be shared widely and have the potential to go viral, spreading your message far and wide. Second, let's focus on building a community. People learn best when they feel supported and part of a group. Create forums, discussion groups, and online communities where people can share their experiences, ask questions, and practice their skills in a safe environment. This sense of community will encourage continuous learning and improvement. Third, consider developing a comprehensive curriculum that can be used in schools and educational institutions. Partner with educators and policymakers to integrate communication skills training into the standard curriculum. This way, we can start teaching these essential skills from a young age, ensuring that future generations are better equipped to communicate effectively. Fourth, let's not forget the power of personal coaching and workshops. While online content and community building are crucial, there's still immense value in one coaching and interactive workshops. These can be conducted both in person and virtually, allowing you to reach a diverse audience. Finally, practice what you preach. Continuously refine your own communication skills and lead by example. Share your journey, your successes, and your challenges. This authenticity will inspire others and show them that effective communication is a lifelong journey. Let's start with a simple tip. Create a short video on a common communication challenge, like overcoming stage fright or speaking clearly. Share it on your social media platforms and ask for feedback. This will not only help you refine your content, but also engage your audience and build a sense of community. What specific communication challenge would you like to address in your first video? Let's brainstorm some ideas together.
Well, pretty good tips, TJ. Not bad advice at all. But since I am you and you are me, I think we both know where this is going. Let's switch gears a minute. What do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions people have about public speaking and communication?
One of the biggest misconceptions people have about public speaking is that it's all about natural talent. They think you either have it or you don't. But the truth is, public speaking is a skill that can be learned and refined with practice. Just like riding a bike or playing an instrument, the more you do it, the better you get. Another common misconception is that you need to memorize your speech word for word. This can actually make you more nervous and less engaging. Instead, focus on understanding your key points and speaking from the heart. This allows for a more natural and authentic delivery. People also often believe that they need to be perfect. They fear making mistakes or stumbling over their words. But here's the thing, audiences are incredibly forgiving. They don't expect perfection, they appreciate authenticity. If you make a mistake, acknowledge it, laugh it off, and move on. It makes you more relatable. There's also a myth that you need to use big, fancy words to sound intelligent. In reality, simplicity is key. Clear, concise language is more effective and easier for your audience to understand and remember. Lastly, many think that public speaking is all about the speaker, but it's really about the audience. Your goal is to connect with them, engage them, and provide value. When you shift your focus from yourself to your audience, your nerves diminish and your effectiveness increases. Now, let's put this into practice. Think about a recent presentation or speech you gave. What was one thing you felt went well and one thing you think could have been improved? Let's work on refining that together.
Okay, let's switch gears a minute, TJ, because I'm curious about a few other things. I have been told that when it comes to communication, that something like 66% is your body language and only 7% are your words, and the rest is your voice. Is that really true?
That statistic is a common misconception. It stems from a study by Professor Albert Mehrabian at UCLA, which is you've misinterpreted. The study suggested that when people communicate feelings and attitudes, body language accounts for 55%, tone of voice 38%, and words only 7%. However, this applies specifically to situations where there is a discrepancy between the verbal and nonverbal messages. In reality, effective communication is a blend of all these elements. Body language is crucial, yes, but so are your words and tone. Imagine trying to give a speech in a language your audience doesn't understand. No amount of body language or tone will convey your message effectively. Think of communication as a pie chart. Body language might take up a significant portion, but tone and words are equally important. They all work together to create a complete picture. If your body language is positive and aligns with your words and tone, your message will be clear and impactful. Let's focus on one simple tip. Practice aligning your body language with
Okay,
your
so
words.
TJ,
Next time you give
that
a
was a good
presentation,
answer there.
record.
I'm glad that you didn't further that myth. So that's good information. Tell, other than you, I'm not asking you to rate you. That would be a conflict of interest. Who do you think are some of the top communication trainers, public speaking trainers, coaches, experts in the world today and in the last 30 years?
When it comes to top communication trainers and public speaking experts, there are a few names that stand out. Dale Carnegie, for instance, has had a lasting impact with his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. His principles are timeless and continue to be relevant. Another influential figure is Tony Robbins. His dynamic style and ability to connect with audiences have made him a household name in personal development and communication. Nancy Duarte is another expert worth mentioning. Her work on storytelling and presentation design, especially her book Resonate, has transformed how people approach public speaking. Then there's Carmine Gallo, known for his books on communication skills, including Talk Like Ted, which breaks down the secrets of the best TED Talks. Patricia Fripp is also a notable figure. She's a Hall of Fame keynote speaker and executive speech coach who has helped countless professionals improve their public speaking skills. Lastly, Simon Sinek, with his focus on leadership and communication, has inspired many through his books and talks, particularly Start With Why. These experts have all contributed significantly to the field of communication and public speaking, each bringing their unique insights and methods to help people become more effective communicators. What specific aspect of communication or public speaking would you like to focus on improving next? Let's dive into that and create a plan to enhance your skills.
So, TJ, switching gears, here's a challenge I face. When I see people like Gary Vaynerchuk, at some level, it makes it all sound so easy. Produce a lot of content. Just focus, focus, focus. Produce content. Answer every question that people in your industry have. Give value. Respond to every email. Respond to every comment. Comment on everyone else in your industry on all of their content. And whether it's 6 months or a year or 2 years, you're going to have a huge audience and be successful. And I look at his stuff and it does make sense. He does really resonate with a lot of his concepts. But time and time again, when I see people I respect, so oftentimes authors I know and like and respect, they're doing great work. I see a video they might have on YouTube and it's good. And then I look at their social media account. They only have 1,000 followers, 1,000 subscribers. They only have a couple tens of thousands of views, whether it's TikTok or YouTube or Facebook. So I'm often wondering, am I guilty of doing the equivalent of writing a book on personal finance that just spotlights people who won the lottery? I mean, you could write an entire book about lottery winners and make it sound like the key to financial success is buying lottery tickets the right way and learn from these thousands of people who've won millions of dollars in the lottery. And obviously, that would be a total sham, because for every lottery winner, there's tens of thousands, sometimes millions of losers. No responsible financial expert would really put forth the strategy of keep buying lottery tickets to be financially successful. I'm wondering if there's a little bit of the same thing going on with social media. Are most business people just spinning their wheels, creating video content and more online content because it really comes down to only a few kind of win the lottery of social media? Help me out with this.
You're absolutely right to question the lottery, like nature of social media success. It's easy to look at someone like Gary Vaynerchuk and think that his path is replicable for everyone. But here's the reality. While his strategy of relentless content creation and engagement is sound, it doesn't guarantee instant success for everyone. The truth is the digital landscape is crowded, and standing out requires more than just volume. It requires a unique voice, consistent value, and genuine connections. Think of it this way. Gary didn't just create content. He created a community. He didn't just answer questions. He built relationships. It's not about hitting the jackpot with one viral video. It's about the cumulative effect of consistent, valuable interactions over time. Yes, some people might seem like they won the social media lottery, but behind that success is years of hard work, strategic thinking, and a bit of luck. So, how do you avoid spinning your wheels? Focus on quality over quantity. Engage deeply with your audience, be authentic, and provide real value. And most importantly, be patient. Success in social media, like in any other field, is a marathon, not a sprint. Let's start with a simple tip. Pick one platform and commit to engaging deeply there for the next month. Respond to every comment, ask questions, and create content that truly resonates with your audience. Then let's review the results together. What specific platform do you feel most comfortable with? And what kind of content do you think your audience would find most valuable?
Well, TJ, you say to respond to every comment. I mean, from what I see, a lot of smart people who are somewhat successful create content. It doesn't generate any comments. How do you respond to comments if you don't have any comments?
If you're not getting comments on your content, it can feel like you're shouting into the void. But don't get discouraged. The key is to start by engaging with others. Go to where your audience is already active. Comment on their posts, ask questions, and provide value. This builds relationships and encourages them to check out your content and engage with you in return. Think about Gary Vaynerchuk's early days. He didn't just wait for comments to come to him. He actively sought out conversations in chat rooms and forums, answering questions and providing value. This approach can work for you too. Engage deeply with your community, and over time, you'll start to see more interaction on your own content. Here's a simple tip. Spend an hour each day engaging with others in your niche. Comment on their posts, share your insights, and ask thoughtful questions. Then, observe how this impacts the engagement on your own content. What specific platform do you feel most comfortable with? And what kind of content do you think your audience would find most valuable?
Hey, TJ, last question of the day. I want your best summary of why you think more and more business professionals, subject matter experts, coaches, trainers, speakers should think long and hard about creating an artificial intelligence digital clone for themselves.
Creating an artificial intelligence digital clone is a game changer for business professionals, subject matter experts, coaches, trainers, and speakers. Imagine having a version of yourself that can work tirelessly, answer questions, and provide guidance 24/7. This clone can extend your reach far beyond what you could achieve alone. It allows you to be in multiple places at once, engaging with clients, students, and audiences around the world, all while maintaining the quality and consistency of your message. Think about the potential for personalized interaction. Your digital clone can tailor responses to individual needs, providing a level of customization that traditional methods simply can't match. This means deeper engagement and more meaningful connections with your audience. Moreover, a digital clone can help you scale your business. It can handle routine inquiries, freeing up your time to focus on high impact activities like creating new content, developing strategies, and building relationships. This efficiency can lead to significant growth and increased revenue. There's also the aspect of accessibility. Your clone can make your expertise available to people who might not have the opportunity to interact with you directly. This democratizes access to knowledge and skills, allowing you to make a broader impact. In essence, a digital clone is not just a tool, it's an extension of your brand and your mission. It amplifies your voice, enhances your reach, and empowers you to help more people. Embrace this technology, and you'll find yourself at the forefront of a new era in communication and personal development. What specific aspect of your communication strategy would
All right. Well, TJ, thank you for your insights today. Hi, I'm TJ Walker. Thanks so much for spending part of the last 3 hours with me. We've been continuing our journey trying to figure out how to make these digital clones worthwhile, helpful to you, to a creator, to users, to your customers. It's an ongoing journey. I'm happy to be here sharing that with you. Thanks so much. Please like and watch the videos we post throughout the day. Please join us again live tomorrow. Thanks.